welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Thank you for your patience here with us this morning. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up for you today, plus and one of those things being the unveiling of a video that I'm very, very excited to release to you. There's 3 videos that I created yesterday in the background and that none of you know about, and you're going to see one of them today, and then we'll be releasing the other 2 as we go. But a lot of great stuff coming up, and when I talk about the releasing of videos, that means that you have some cool news that's going to be coming to you on our social media: Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT, and also on YouTube at Wake Up Call DT. That's at Wake Up Call DT on YouTube, so make sure you follow us there as well. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and we will be sure to connect with you on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, or just YouTube at Wake Up Call DT, whatever you fancy. So in these Great Lakes Honda City studios, we are here with you, and of course Great Lakes Honda City is open for you Monday through Saturday on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York, open for sales and service, and they're open all the time online at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. So however you connect with Great Lakes Honda City, let them know that DT sent you, and we appreciate you so very much for being there at Great Lakes Honda City, the only place I've gotten my vehicles for over 11 years, and definitely am grateful that I went to Great Lakes Honda City because I love the vehicles I have. We're up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com is where you can get over 2,000 broadcasts. And of course, we are now back on mixlr.com /WakeUpCallDT. So make sure you jump over there as well. And it's actually shifted. The easiest way to get to it is wakeupcalldt.mixlr.com. So they actually flipped the way that they do the website, and I want to make sure I let you know that so nobody gets lost on the way to finding us on internet streaming radio. And of course, it is a Murph Monday. It is June 1st, and I love when it happens that on these months we get to officially bring you into a week and bring you into a month at the same time, that the first day is on a Monday. So you are literally starting off June here on Wake Up Call with Murph and I on June 1st. So happy June 1st to everybody. Murph is in his new studio, his gator helmet. I guess you can call it a hat, but it does go on the head. The gator helmet it's over his shoulder, and there's a couple cards there. Murph is in his new dig. So we got the first day of June, first day of the week, jumping into this month with you, and Murph's first broadcast from his new studio. All these firsts happening with you today, as we'll be talking about NCAA college softball, NCAA college baseball, and Major League Baseball. Murphalation Station, welcome to June, and welcome to your new digs as you make history in your new studio.
Appreciate that. It's a little tight in here, but we're making it work out. Safe to say we are definitely making the most out of the space that we have in this room. This room would not work with this desk in here any other way. So the way we have it is like perfect, and I have no intention of changing it anytime soon. So, but yeah, we're kind of settled in. It's serving as bedroom and studio and about 100 different other things, workspace, everything. So, it's kind of doing what I was hoping it would do, and love the little area that we're in. I'm literally 5 minutes from a lot of stuff, so it's a lot better than being 15 minutes from a lot of stuff. So it's pretty nice, but happy to get back into the normal routine.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you said, I mean, you're closer to some things, farther away from others, in a new place, but, definitely keeping us strong in the swing state here in the great state of Pennsylvania. So happy to be here with you all on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And Murph and I got a lot of stuff to discuss today. I do want to start the show off, though, with a few things. And one of the things that I'd like to start off with is something that is very unfortunate, and it's not something that you ever want to have to come on the air and talk about, but it's life. And, you hear people say that all the time, and it's really hard to take that in when people go, it's just life. But there are things that are life and things that we have to deal with. So, with that being said, there is something unfortunate that happened here in the sports world, and that we have to sit here and discuss this morning. And because I would feel wrong not putting a note out here. And so that message that we'll start the show off with is that life is precious. And, I just did an interview, my commissioner corners that we do here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with leaders all across the country of different conferences and leagues. Well, one of those conferences, the Mid-American Conference, the MAC, has Ball State within it. And an 18-year-old who was part of Ball State football, Gavin Yates Lyons, passed away at 18 years old. A defensive back, a freshman defensive back, died at the age of 18. The school said, "We mourn the passing of Gavin Yates Lyons. We extend sincere condolences to his family, friends, coaches, teammates, and all who held him close. May you find comfort and strength during this challenging moment." He was among 3 victims of a shooting at a parking garage on May 24th in Tallahassee, Florida. He was caught in the crossfire and taken to a hospital in critical condition. That's according to the Tallahassee Democrat. He passed away this past Saturday. He had finished his education at Lowndes County High School in Georgia early and enrolled at Ball State in January. He had returned to attend his graduation ceremony, which took place the day before he was shot. This is not a world that anyone should feel comfortable living in when that happens. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what creed. I don't care what religion. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care what you don't believe in. I don't care what your political party is. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what language you speak. I don't care where you came from. An 18-year-old enrolled early in college went home to celebrate and walk with his friends at graduation. And after throwing his hat up in the air, had his life taken at 18. It's a sad, sad day when that is something that happens. In any country, in any community, in any city, town, any place. And there's this crazy thing. They say you die twice. They say you die when you die, and you die when people stop talking about you. Again, you die again. And Gavin, I didn't know you, but I will not let you die twice. So may this be something that pushes us even more close to some type of gun violence protection. May this be something that helps us to come together and value our lives. Maybe it makes us call someone we haven't called in a while, see somebody we haven't seen in a while. Maybe it helps us get to our knees and talk to God. Maybe we haven't done that in a while. I just hope something good comes from anything good, comes from moments like this. To have this poor young man literally do everything he needed to do through high school, realize his college dream, get to play college football, enroll early, which means he got his classes right and got everything set, went to spring ball, and then he went home just to walk, just to be a part of graduation. And his family got to see him walk across the stage. And then you have to identify the body. And they say that no parent should ever have to bury their child. And I agree with that. So today, Gavin, we celebrate you. It doesn't matter what you did as a defensive back. It doesn't matter how many interceptions you had, if you ever had a pick six. It doesn't matter how many passes you defended or deflected. What matters is God gave you a soul. God gave you breath. And I hope for the 18 years that you were here, you lived every one of those breaths. And now, as an angel, I hope you watch over your loved ones. And I hope that you fly free, fly strong, and fly high. We will miss you. And I pray that the ripple effects that you make in this world are only positive. God bless you in heaven, Gavin. And God bless your loved ones here on earth and in heaven. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Murph, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a horrible situation. Unfortunately, it's something that happens way too often. And, when, no parent should ever have to bury their kid. And, you feel for his parents, you feel for his family. And you're right, he literally went home to walk at graduation and never made it back to school.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the most unfortunate things that you're going to see.
Yeah.
So you hope you hope he's watching over his loved ones and they'll be reunited with him again. But unfortunately, this is just something that happens, and I don't know if or when it's ever going to stop.
Yeah.
Because one thing that people need to be aware of is the fact that you can change gun laws all you want, but criminals are still going to get guns in their hands.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you need to try to figure out ways to make them not get guns and not prevent ordinary citizens from, protecting themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when I got mine, it was way too easy. I will say that right now. When I got my gun, it was way too easy. I walk in, tested some. I didn't walk out with mine simply because they had to order it.
Yeah.
But the background check was brief. I'm not opposed at all to a psych evaluation.
Yeah.
Strict background check.
Yeah.
For firearm safety also, because we see plenty of accidents happen.
Yeah.
Like, these are things that should happen in order for someone to be able to purchase a firearm. There's a reason that the founding fathers put the Second Amendment in the Constitution. Right? It's the right to bear arms, and in the amendment, folks, it's not just about, you're allowed to have a gun just to have a gun. The reason that we have the right to bear arms is to be able to, in the event where the government starts to do things that are unethical, you have the right to bear arms to protect yourself against a tyrannical government.
Yeah.
That is the way the amendment is written.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why we are given the right to bear arms. Not just to arbitrarily walk down the street and start shooting people. So those people, we need to figure out a way to make them not get a firearm.
Yeah.
So that is, for me, something that's I'm very I'm pro-gun, but the right people, you cannot let the wrong people end up with a firearm. You want to do that, like we talked about, stricter background checks and all that.
Yeah.
Also with finding ways to limit the black market. I think that's something that's really, really important. And that's something that, you see tragic events like this. It's more and more reason why that's something that we need to do.
Well, and you bring up a good point. I mean, gun laws don't affect criminals that have guns with no serial numbers on them. Gun laws affect the people that are trying to protect their homes. So, it's when people say, tighten the vice, it's stricter this, it's stricter this. It's like you're only being more strict to the man or woman that's got a gun in their house to protect their family. You're not doing anything to the drug dealer on the street that doesn't have their gun licensed, or it's not in the system. So there's a lot to be said about all of this. And when it comes to people saying, well, just get rid of them, and you can't, because villains have them. And you know what I mean? It's like police wouldn't need them if criminals didn't have them. So, I mean, and like you said, the Second Amendment was never made for people to go shooting off their hip willy-nilly. It was to protect us from a government that could get out of control. And, now more than ever, I would understand that amendment. So, I think we're living in a time where, unfortunately, gun violence and school shootings and all this stuff, which was atypical to America, strange to America. When Columbine happened, I still remember we were coming back from Florida, and my mom and dad and I were in the airport, and we saw it on the TV when they used to have like a couple TVs hanging in an airport. And it was so weird. It was like, this happens in the Middle East. It doesn't happen here. And then you fast forward to 2026 and you're like, oh, there's a school shooting like every month, every week. And that needs to stop. And you look at, well, I don't want to have armed guards at my schools. And I was like, I wouldn't be opposed to that. When I go into a school now in central and upstate New York, I have to walk in. I go in the first set of doors. I have to show my ID. They have to know what I'm there for. They have to confirm who I'm there to see and what I'm there to do. I have to wait while they make that confirmation. Then they have to print out a sticker that has my picture on it and my name on it. Then I have to sign in. And to some people, it's a hassle. But to me, it's like, I would rather you hold me up at the door than you not know who's in your building. So, I mean, listen, back in the day, you could do whatever you wanted. There could be some 40-year-old man that comes to the side door, and, a little kid is running by the door, and he's like, hey, can you let me in? The little kid opens the door and then goes back to playing and has no idea who this person is, and now you got to have all these doors locked and alarmed and all this stuff. And listen, I don't want kids to have to live this way, but I also don't want people getting in buildings that shouldn't be there. And, a lot of this, people forget, 9/11 messed a lot of things up. We didn't have TSA. You remember back in the day when you went through security, your family could come with you that didn't have a ticket. My parents could come with me to the gate and sit with me the whole time until I got on the flight, and then watch me get on the flight, and then watch the plane take off, and then leave at their leisure. Or they could sit there for 2 more hours. I mean, that's how it used to be. You remember watching movies where like you're trying to stop the girl that you love, so you just like run through, like you buy a ticket and you run through security and you do all this stuff, but you're not getting on the plane. Like, there was a time where you didn't have to buy a ticket, where you could just be like, oh, I'm with him, oh, I'm with her, and they'd be like, okay, step through the metal detector. There was no process like it is now. That all came from 9/11. That all came from, we as Americans were, we were ignorant to the rest of the world because it didn't happen here. And then when it happened here, we had to change our entire system. So think about that. When you go through security now, pre 9/11, like if 9/11 didn't happen, you're never going through security like that. You're not taking your shoes off. You're not taking your laptop out. You're not putting your bags inside of something that looks like an MRI machine. You're not stepping into these things. You got to put your hands up and hands down and do all this stuff, and it's scanning your body. You're not doing any of that if not for 9/11. I mean, things happen and we have to adjust. And unfortunately, a lot of times you don't learn what you need to do in certain situations until the situation arises, and you just hope the situation never does. And that's the sad part, is that a lot of times laws are reactive because we didn't think something would happen. And I always try to think in the mind of the villain, the mind of the perpetrator. And people say, why would you do that? And I said, because I'm trying to prepare for them. I would think that any good cop on the street has to think like the criminal so that they can anticipate the steps. And, to the best of your ability. But I'm sad on days like today. And I don't want America or the world to become numb. I think a lot of us have become numb. We've seen so much violence and so much hate and heard so many negative things that I just feel like some people have become numb to it. And my prayer list just keeps getting longer, and I feel bad asking God. I do. I'm like, God, please help for this person to be okay with their surgery, and this person with their cancer, and this person with their breathing, and this person that's going to the doctor today, and this person that's traveling with their family, and this person whose dog doesn't feel good, and this person who just got a new cat, and I'm hoping everything's like, I've gotten to the point with God in 2026 where I'm like, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm asking for too many things. I feel like my prayer list is making me exhausted. It's making me feel like I'm losing my breath. But what do they say? That if you feel like you need to pray, then pray. And if something is stopping you from praying, I'm trying to think of exactly how they word it, but they said, if something is trying to keep you from praying, that's when you should pray the most. Because that's essentially the devil going like, I don't want you to do this. And that's when you need to pray the most. When you're most exhausted, when you can't breathe, when you're frustrated, when you feel like there's just so much going on, that's when you need to pray the most. So keep praying, people. And let's keep Gavin in our minds and hearts. Let's keep his family and his loved ones in our minds and hearts. And let's make sure today, whatever we do and whatever we say, that we live today like it's our last day. We celebrate, we enjoy our lives, and that we're good to people. We're good to animals. We're good to nature, and we're good to each other, and we're good to ourselves. Let's remember that. Let's remember that today. Any final note, Murph?
I think you kind of nailed it, dude. I do.
So, with that being said, we will take a step aside for a fast break. And while we take a step aside, you're going to see something that has never aired on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora before. And that is something that's going to all of our social media and our YouTube channel. You know I got my own breakfast potato. You want to see how we make it? Here we go. Avicoli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicoli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on in to the neighborhood spot Avicoli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013 and go to k9campground.com as well. That's KAMP ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily?
Hello, this is Dylan Husted, the owner of the Baked Potato Express. We do mostly big festivals or big corporate like private events. Typically just big festivals such as like Taste of Syracuse, Food Truck Battle, Battle of the Wings. I do the State Fair. They're ordering from a fresh food truck that is making real food and happy to make it and wants them to enjoy every bite. We season every potato before they go in the oven, and then they bake for an hour, and when they come out, we season them again after we cut them. We use real butter, real cheese, real ingredients, so it's all really good food and people love it. We have a lot of returning customers and regulars that we see very often. The customers really make a big impact, and this is a big food truck community. The events here are super busy. It's like in my blood. I like building things and creating stuff that people love, and me and my friends are the ones that run the truck, so it's kind of, we keep it's a tight circle in there, and we have like a family sort of oriented truck, and it's a lot of fun, and we have a good time doing it, and people love our food, so it ends up making it well for everybody. You can contact the Baked Potato Express at thebakedpotatoexpress@gmail.com or the Baked Potato Express on Instagram or TikTok. We are very happy to be partnered up with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as the exclusive sponsor of the Annoying Moment of the Week. And be sure to try DT's baked potato creation at all of our food trucks. The Baked Potato Express. Let's get baked.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. And just hearing from Great Lakes Honda City, make sure you get over there today to 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open for sales and service Monday through Saturday. And, of course, all the time online at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Murph, you just saw the making of the DT Wake Up Call Breakfast Potato. I saw you watch it.
I did.
Yeah.
I specifically stayed to watch that before I went and grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge. Obviously, you know I'm very picky, so it's not something that I would eat personally, but anybody that likes bacon, egg, and cheese,
Yeah.
I imagine would probably very much like that.
Yeah, no, it's so
So
good.
it was bacon, egg, and cheese. It looked like it was maple syrup on there. Was that butter the first thing that they put on, like melted butter?
Yeah, so what they do is they season their potato, and so they season the potato, then they put the potato in to cook for like an hour, then they bring it out, season it again, and then they cut it open, mash it all up inside there, and then put the butter on it, and then mine has the cheese, the egg, the bacon, and then we put a little
It
drizzle of
looked
the
like
maple
a
syrup.
fried egg, right?
Yeah, so yeah, they throw the eggs. They got a little griddle there, so they do 2 eggs, throw them on there, and then put them on top of the cheese, and then the bacon on top of that, and then the syrup. And after you get all that together, you get my wake up call breakfast potato, which I am so excited about. It's on both of the food trucks for the Baked Potato Express, so you can definitely go out and get it today. And there's going to be a really cool sign that we'll have in both. Right now, there's like a mini sign, but there's a sign that I designed over the weekend that's going to be going up there, which I'm very, very excited about.
It's cool, dude. Yeah, like anybody that likes bacon, egg, and cheese and potatoes is probably, I imagine, would like that. Um, I mean, my initial thought seeing it was, holy crap, that is a heart attack on a potato. But I imagine it's probably pretty darn good.
Yeah, no, it's very good. It's very, very good. So,
There's a lot, but you know what it is? There's a lot of things that people eat that's like a heart attack on a plate, but we don't care.
No,
Because it's great.
That's the thing. It's bacon, egg, and cheese. And, bacon, egg, and cheese is something that a lot of people have, come to appreciate here in America. And so we have, at Mother's Cupboard, my breakfast sandwich is bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. And with my potato, it's bacon, egg, and cheese on top of a potato. So we're keeping it going. And as my buddy Nolan Cass said, shout out to Nolies, he said, I'm putting together the Wake Up Call Infinity Gauntlet of specials.
Bacon, egg, and cheese.
And so, yeah, we're making it happen. So I'm very, very excited. Shout out to the Baked Potato Express. If you want them at your event, email them today, thebakedpotatoexpress@gmail.com. That is thebakedpotatoexpress@gmail.com. Get in touch with them. And, of course, they're going to be out at a bunch of events at the Lakeview Amphitheater for the concert series all throughout these wonderful warm months here in Central New York. They'll also be at the New York State Fair, so we look forward to seeing you out there for that. And on Wednesdays, they're at the Great Northern Mall in the parking lot as they have the food trucks there for Syracuse food trucks in Central and Upstate New York, so make sure you check them out Wednesdays at Great Northern Mall. Can't miss it. You drive by what the Great Northern Mall used to be. They've taken over the parking lot. These food trucks have over the years, and the Baked Potato Express is a big part of that. So we look forward to seeing you out there hanging out. Murph and I got some stuff going on here in the baseball and softball worlds. And so let's jump to the softball world first and take a look at how things have shaken out when it comes to softball. So over the weekend here, we had some games that went down, and I'm going to actually go back to Thursday. So on Thursday for college softball for Division I, Alabama defeated UCLA 6-3. Tennessee defeated Texas 6-3. Nebraska defeated Arkansas 5-3. And Texas Tech defeated Mississippi State 8-0. When you look at those 8 teams, folks, you have Big Ten, SEC, 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 Big Ten, SEC, Big 12. So that was all SEC and Big Ten except for Texas Tech. Then we jump into Friday's matchups, which had Texas up against Mississippi State. Texas won 4-0. UCLA over Arkansas 11-0 in those games. So those 4 teams were the 4 teams that lost. So obviously playing to stay in. And then let's take a look at how Saturday shook out here before we finished off the weekend. So on Saturday, Alabama played Nebraska in the winners bracket of things here. Alabama defeating Nebraska 5-1, Tennessee defeating Texas Tech 2-1, and then on Sunday we saw Nebraska and Texas defeated Nebraska 3-1, and then Texas Tech won a close one against UCLA 8-7, which brings us to Monday, where Texas will take on Tennessee in a doubleheader, and then we'll also get a doubleheader of Alabama and Texas Tech. So here on June 1st for NCAA Division I softball in the way to the Women's College World Series, we have a doubleheader at noon Eastern Time that will continue at approximately 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN between Texas and Tennessee, and that is a battle of SEC versus SEC. And then tonight on June 1st at 7 p.m. and then at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, a doubleheader on ESPN between Alabama and Texas Tech, which makes me want to go look at the overall scoreboard of things. Well, I should say the bracket, and to see where everything is at in this updated bracket for.
We're down to the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean,
at this point, it's
we have come to the end of this, and that's what's crazy about this is the fact that we have gotten to a place where we are actually, softball is almost wrapped up here. So we know that Tennessee and Texas have moved on, Alabama and Texas Tech have moved on, and then we will see who comes out of these, which will bring us to the championship. So for those of you that don't know, when you're playing in baseball or softball in the postseason, you'll see how, a team will win, a team will lose, and the team that won will play another team that won, and then the teams that lost will play each other because they're not out yet. They're trying to eliminate each other. One's trying to stay alive. So you see how Nebraska had done some good things, right? Nebraska's winning, but then Nebraska comes into Texas, and Texas finds a way to upend them so Texas can, survive and advance. And so if you lose the first time around, you're not essentially out of it. So the winners play the winners, the losers play the losers, but whoever wins in that losers bracket knocks out the other loser, and then they're out completely. But then that one that wins that has the shot to stay in the pod and keep rocking and rolling. So, a little bit different than your NCAA men's basketball or women's basketball tournament where you lose, you're out. In these cases here, you can win and stay in, or you can lose, win after you lost, keep yourself in. And so Texas has found its way to have more life going up against Tennessee and then Alabama and Texas Tech. So it's going to be awesome, but we're looking at 3/4 of this. 3 out of 4 teams are from the SEC. You look at Texas, you still think Big 12, but they're not. You have in the Women's College World Series world that we're living in, the final 4 teams en route to trying to win a 2026 championship. It is SEC, SEC, Big 12. So the SEC is still owning the world of softball, and we know that if you go back, and I put up a graphic earlier on here a few days back of what the Women's College World Series has looked like historically, and it's insane when you talk about like UConn and women's basketball. Right. You look at UConn and women's basketball and you say, wow, they just really like ran the table forever. And, does anybody else ever win? And then I would ask you to go to softball and look at Division I and look at what Oklahoma has built over time and their just outrageous amount of success that they have had in the grand scheme of things has been undeniable and just really remarkable. And they're not going to have the opportunity to add another one this year. So, they
didn't even make the College World Series.
Right. So, I mean, that's...
I was written, I think that was like the first time in 20 years they haven't made the College World Series.
Yeah. So, I mean, as much as they've had such a high, ceiling over time here, they are still, they're a team that's not in it right now. So we will see a new champion come to light here. We'll see somebody else hoist the trophy. But, like I said, we're looking at the SEC and just a little bit here of the Big 12 with one team representing the Big 12 and the whole rest of this thing. The SEC has a 75% chance of making it to and winning the Women's College World Series. And so, I mean, once again, the SEC, when it comes to baseball and softball, have shown that they are the kings and queens of the ball, essentially. But we'll see if Texas Tech can shake that up a little bit. Murph, what are your thoughts on the fact that we are almost completely SEC in this thing?
It's not at all surprising.
Yeah.
I mean, as most of you know, in many sports, there are certain conferences that dominate. Obviously, you got the SEC and the Big Ten in football. You got the ACC and the Big 12 in basketball. And the Big East, realistically. I'm not going to sit here and say the SEC and the Big Ten are better at basketball, because they're not. They're close. The SEC's getting close, but they're not. You get lacrosse. the Big Ten dominates. There's smaller conferences that dominate. Swimming, you get some mid majors that are winning national championships.
Men's lacrosse had Princeton this year, first time in a long time.
Yeah. But when you come to baseball and softball, SEC, Big 12 completely and utterly dominate. And believe me, you will still get some mid majors. Obviously, Coastal Carolina out of the Sun Belt was the national runner-up last year. They won a national championship in 2017. 2016. They are a team that is commonly in contention in college baseball. College softball, maybe you don't see quite as many mid majors, but you see a lot of SEC and Big 12 dominance.
Yeah.
Oklahoma and Texas dominated college softball for the longest time. Obviously, they're now in the SEC.
Yeah.
So, obviously you got Texas still alive. They need to win 2 games to advance to the championship. Tennessee only needs to win 1 because Tennessee has not lost yet. Same thing with Alabama. So we hope we see 4 games tonight. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But I think in all likelihood, it's going to be 3 or less. I don't know if, I don't know that I see Texas Tech winning that game. So Alabama, I imagine, will probably beat them in the first game, which would end Texas Tech's season. Tennessee, Texas could easily go to a game to a second game. And from experience, if you remember a few years ago, when I think it was who would Rhett Lauder play for? Was it Vanderbilt? No, it was Wake Forest. You had the year LSU won the national championship with Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz. You had LSU needing to beat Wake Forest twice in order to move on. And I believe that was the case, but there was a decisive game. And you had Rhett Lauder and Paul Skeens pitch arguably I would still sit here and say it's one of the best pitched baseball games I have ever seen at any level of competition. There is a possibility that we see that with Texas and Tennessee in softball. Now keep in mind, most of the time, you don't get relief pitchers in softball. The one that pitched for UCLA the other night threw like 180 something pitches in that game.
Yeah.
The underhanded throws do not put nearly the type of strain on your arm that baseball pitching, that overhand does. So they can go full game and pitch the next day if they really needed to. So I think it'll be fun to watch. This time of year for me is always one of the, and I don't watch softball as much as I do baseball, but when I see it on the TV, I'll always take a look and see who's on. And my Florida Gators were knocked out in the Super Regionals. You had, like I said, Oklahoma missed the College World Series for the first time in a long time. Getting upset by Mississippi State in the Super Regionals. But you're right, and something that, because obviously we'll get into it with college baseball because we're in regionals right now in college baseball.
Yeah.
College baseball and softball is very, very different than any other sport when it comes to the tournament. You have regionals. There's 16 different regionals. The top 16 national seeds in the country host. The winner of those regionals, whether it's the 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed, they move on to the Super Regionals. Top 8 seeds host the Super Regionals that are remaining.
Yeah.
And then the teams that win the Super Regionals go to the College World Series. And in the College World Series, it's double elimination. You have to lose twice to be out. And, that's why you see the if necessary part underneath the second games that we're seeing today. But like I said, I would love it if we saw all 4 games. I don't think it's likely, especially with Alabama. But Texas, Tennessee could very easily go to a decisive game 2, I guess. And then you get the College World Series. It's best of 3, and we'll see what happens. But definitely some different teams. Maybe not Texas, but some other different teams that are making some noise in college softball this year. You basically, for years in college, women's college basketball, you just check off UConn as the national champion and you're done with it. And you were probably going to be right more than half the time. With college softball, it's Oklahoma. And they're not going to win this year. So we're going to see somebody different, and I think that's going to be good for the sport. And especially now with the professional league. What is it? Is it the AUSL is what it is? Is it like Athletes United Softball League, I think is what it's called?
Yeah, so there's a new league that came up that's backed by the Major League Baseball. And I talked about it actually a few months back, but a professional softball league, which we need here in America as we've seen the WNBA grow and the NWSL, the Women's Soccer League, grow. We have the AUSL, the Athletes Unlimited Softball League, professional softball.
That was close.
Here. And so with that, I do want to let people know here the teams that we have is this hopefully will continue to grow. But we have the Bandits, the Blaze, the Talons, the Volts, the Spark, and the Cascade. And so those are the teams that make everything up here for the AUSL. But this is a league, as they've tried to do different things in the past. This is a league that now has backing by baseball. And I think that that's huge. Now, they have teams in Chicago, which is where the Bandits are, Carolina for the Blaze, Portland for the Cascade, Oklahoma City for the Spark, Utah for the Talons, and Texas for the Volts. So we're seeing them in all different parts of the country. We're seeing them out west. We're seeing them in the south and in the Midwest area. And then, a little bit Carolina with the East Coast. So hopefully we'll see an expansion of this and see them go into some bigger cities. We don't have anything in New York or Pennsylvania. Hopefully that'll happen. Florida as well. So we'll see how it grows, but the AUSL is definitely here and hopefully give an opportunity to not only see these fantastic teams and student athletes on the stage where a lot of people pay attention when we get to the Women's College World Series, but that they actually get to stay in this country, get paid to do what they love, and they get to be professional athletes here.
For sure. And you kind of see different over time, we've kind of learned more and more about, some of these players in softball that have moved on to be professional athletes. Like the obvious one that comes to mind that everybody knows is Jenny Finch, who was a pitcher for the United States national team after playing in college. And, she was one to always show up at the MLB Celebrity All-Star Celebrity Softball game during All-Star Weekend. And she was striking out big leaguers.
Yeah.
If you see the video of her striking out Albert Pujols, and I think Manny Ramirez she struck out Manny Ramirez too. Barry Bonds, I don't think Barry Bonds faced her. I remember reading something about that. I think he specifically said, "I'm not doing that." Which that would have been fun to watch. The greatest hitter to ever ever walk the face of the earth, and arguably the best softball pitcher of all time, would have been pretty darn cool. Because realistically, if she's throwing a softball at 65, 70 miles an hour from 45 feet, realistically, for a major leaguer, that's probably about 110 mile an hour fastball if you're looking at physics.
Yeah.
And it's you can't hit that. It's just ridiculous. But I think that league will kind of, because what you kind of see with college softball is like they play their years in college, and then most of them go and work regular jobs, and others, will try to go play overseas or attempt to make the U.S. national team.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the Olympics coming to Los Angeles in 2028, we are going to have baseball and softball involved. So I imagine a lot of players in college softball now and in the AUSL are going to be going out for that team and trying to, make that final roster. So I think that's going to be a really cool thing, and I'm intrigued to see it. I've seen a couple of games, and it looks pretty fun to watch. You know, not really my thing, so it's not something I'd be tuning into regularly. But you know, for the audience that it's designed for, I think it's great. And you know, you don't hear them complaining like the WNBA players or the NWSL players. These players just play because they love to play. They just happen to be getting paid.
Yeah.
So, you know, that theory has become lost in women's soccer and women's basketball. Women's softball, they play because they love the game. That's the way it should be. They get paid what they get paid. They are well aware that it is not going to draw the same way that baseball does. That's something that the women's soccer players and WNBA players need to understand. There is a reason why the WNBA loses money. There's a reason why NWSL does not do all that well. Because the women's sports are not watched, and they're not, you know, people don't watch women's sports the way they do men's sports. That's just the way it is. And do I think that should change? Yeah. However, they get paid what they're worth. Way back when, I forget who was talking about this on First Take, but during the Women's World Cup, they were drawing from a pool of $400 million for what they got paid. And they got 20%, the players got 20% of that.
Yeah.
The men drew from a pool of $6 billion. And they only got like 5% of that for the players. So theoretically, the women were getting a higher percentage of revenue. So, you know, why? And honestly, we've talked about this before. Why do more people watch the WNBA than ever before right now? It's because of one person. No, Angel Reese, they don't watch because of you. Because you brick every shot and get 50 rebounds because you missed 49 shots. They watch because of Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
That is the reason that they watch women's basketball. And it's getting better. They're starting to bring in, you know, new players into the league. You know, Paige Becker's in there now that people are watching. But they watch for Caitlin Clark. When Caitlin Clark got hurt last year, what happened to the viewership? It tanked. Because nobody cared. They cared about Caitlin Clark. That's the issue that they don't understand, that they're not getting through their heads. Caitlin Clark is the reason why that league, I don't know if they, I think I read that they finally turned a profit in her rookie year, but there was a reason why they weren't turning a profit until now. Caitlin Clark brought eyes to the WNBA. That's what they needed.
And it's hard.
And they finally got it.
Right, and it's hard. I mean, listen, I've talked about it on the show before. It's cyclical, okay? So you don't put the product on television. You don't put the product on the radio. You don't have the product on streaming. So then people can't see it, and they can't be around it, and they can't feel it, and they can't experience it. So then they can't. So you can't get eyes and ears on something if you're not going to have eyes and ears. That, you know, you're not going to create the availability to it. So it's this cyclical thing of we're not going to put it out there, and then we're going to say, well, nobody wants to watch it, nobody wants to listen to it, but you don't know that because you haven't given the exposure. So you have to give the exposure in order, because it was like, well, where are the WNBA games? When can I watch it? When are they on? I mean, I didn't, as a broadcaster, when the WNBA started, I'm like, I didn't even know when the season started. I didn't know what the schedule was. I knew some of the teams that were playing, but you don't have information out there and you don't have access. And then you say, well, nobody wants it. So you create that mentality. And if people can't get the information, or it's difficult to get the information, and you're not able to access it, to watch it or listen to it, then why would people go? Because there's nowhere to go. So it's hard to get the information, or there's no information, and there's nowhere to watch and listen. So yeah, then you're not going to build your audience. And then you don't build your audience, and then they say, well, you didn't build your audience, so we're not going to put it out there. So then they keep not putting it out there, so then nobody can see it or hear it. So then they say nobody wants to see it or hear it, even though nobody can see it or hear it. And it just keeps going in a circle. So somebody had to sponsor it. Somebody had to go to the NWSL and say, we're going to put some money into this. Somebody had to go into the WNBA and say, we're going to put some money into this. Someone had to help. The NBA helped the WNBA. So there has to, and you look at what Major League Baseball is doing with the AUSL now for the professional softball league. Like the leagues that have been around for men have been helping the women, and no, that's not to whoever, whatever feminist group would think, oh, well, we don't need, they're trying to help you. Okay. The men have cornered the market for a very long time. And the mentality of people is we watch the men play, but we don't watch the women play because it's not a good enough product. And again, that's cyclical. It's not a good enough product because the product isn't out there. We don't know what it's about. When the WNBA started, people probably thought, okay, this is going to be around for a couple of years and it'll fail. And they probably think that about the AUSL, and they probably thought that about the NWSL. But for a man as myself that's covered women's sports since the beginning of my career at 18 years old at Marywood University, I was doing it before it was cool, before people got mad if you didn't, and people came after you if you didn't. I did it when people thought I was stupid for doing it. And so I can speak to the fact of, if you want people to watch and listen to women's sports, you have to create access, and you have to have the information be presented easily. And as a broadcaster, I cannot tell you, Murph, when I tried to look stuff up for certain things like women's sports, it's not easy. And if it's not easy for me to find it when I'm researching, how is it going to be easy for the average human being who's not a broadcaster, who's not doing this for a job? So again, create the access, create the information, put together a good product, and get it out there. The WNBA got good sponsors. They got it out there. The NWSL got good sponsors, and they got it out there. And I'm hoping that the AUSL will have good sponsorships and get it out there as well. But everything takes time. And I don't talk to people when they tell me I watch basketball, but I don't watch women's basketball because it's not the same thing. I say, okay, in what way? That women are more fundamental, that women play more like a team, that it actually looks more like basketball than 1 versus 5 sometimes. So if you watch a women's basketball game and you watch a men's basketball game, I played basketball. I still go out there and shoot. Basketball to me is basketball. If a girl can hoop, if a guy can hoop, they can hoop. And that's how it is. They're acting like the game is different. Like, is a 3-point shot a 7-point shot in the other one? No. I mean, basketball is basketball. So you have to take the barrier down, and you only take the barrier down by creating opportunity and creating access. And the WNBA and the NWSL, which I think I was concerned for the WNBA, and I was definitely concerned for the NWSL in recent history. But the fact that they're both here, but why are they here, Murph? Because now they're on television. Now when you go on a streaming service, you see games, you see ads, you see things out there. You got to spend money to make money. I know that as a business owner. So I want to see these leagues thrive, not survive. I want to see them thrive. But yeah, you want people to play for the love of the game, and you want them to get out there. And the Caitlin Clarks of the world will continue to bring fantastic engagement because she was engaging in college and she's engaging as a pro. And I would say to people, if you watch Steph Curry and you can't help but watch him wherever he goes, why would you not do the same for Caitlin Clark? So, to me, again, ball is ball. And when people look at the women's national team when it comes to women's soccer, you know that no other country in the world has won more World Cups than the United States when it comes to women's soccer. But what do people say? Are the men going to qualify? Are the men good enough? Can the men win a game? And that's what they want to talk about. Men, when the women are out here beating up everybody. They're going to they're going to the world finale, and even if they lose, they're one of the last two teams. I still remember them losing to Japan, sitting in my grandmother's living room with Hope Solo there in the box. So you can go see these national powerhouse women that win world titles for like $12 in the NWSL. Why would you not go? I mean, people are like, where did these players come from? They don't just like emerge out of the ground. They're playing somewhere throughout the years to prepare for the World Cup, and then they're playing. And so now that we have a softball league, I'm hoping that we can keep it. I'm hoping we can sustain it. But again, don't get mad that Major League Baseball is back in the AUSL. Don't get mad that the NBA is back in the WNBA, because these leagues need help to come about. And I don't want to do this men versus women BS anymore, because I'm a man who has covered both my entire career, and I cover people. I don't care if you got that private part or that private part, because the last time I checked, your private part's got nothing to do with the game. So play the game, enjoy the game, celebrate the game, and let's make sure that we create opportunities to keep our wonderful athletes in our country. And I think seeing the evolution of the WNBA and the NWSL is hopefully a good sign for the AUSL.
Yeah, and you know, and honestly, you know, for years we didn't really see NWSL or WNBA on TV, partly because, let's keep in mind, these networks have to pay for the rights to broadcast those games. The networks didn't want to broadcast those games. They thought it would be a waste of money.
Yeah.
Now, with the backing of the NBA, for at least the WNBA,
yeah,
they're now on ESPN. I think there's something in their backing or agreement or something like that where they get access to the NBA's media deal.
Yeah.
In a way. I could be wrong about that, but I think that would make sense. But yeah, it's my biggest complaint about it is the when they just complain that they don't, they just complain about everything.
Well, I would say to you, I mean, listen, to be in a place, because I can look at this two different ways, right? You can look at something like I look at whenever there's a collective bargaining agreement that comes up and you wonder, is there going to be a strike? Is there going to be a lockout or a holdout or whatever? And you look at Major League Baseball, which could be coming to it at the end of this year, which I hope it's not. And then you look at the NBA and what the NBA has been through, the NFL and what the NFL has been through. And even looking at the PGA when the LIV came about and what's that going to look like and how's that going to affect everything. Nobody likes to see any of this stuff. And the person that always gets punished is the fan that goes to the event, because it always ends up costing us more when the owners and the players fight with each other. And what I'll say about the WNBA right now is, okay, listen, yes, they have opportunity. Yes, the league is growing. So yes, we do want them to just go and play ball and enjoy it and have fun. But I would also say to you, what a great time it is to be in the WNBA if you can actually fight back and forth between the players' union and the league itself to fight for more money and more opportunity, because there wasn't a lot of money and opportunity in the WNBA. So the fact that a player can even sit and fight for this, the fact that a union can even say, hey, we should be getting paid more, that shows that the league is growing, right? It shows that the league is evolving, because you can't ask for some more of nothing. So if there's more money in the pot and the players are going, hey, this is the percentage we used to get, but now the league's bigger, so let's get some more. Shout out to the WNBA that they can even fight for that, because the money's even there. So I'm going to look at it glass half full and say, I'm just happy there's more money to fight over. I just hope they stop fighting over it. That's where I'm at.
It's kind of still the NBA's money. I mean, realistically, let's be honest. If the NBA pulled away and didn't give the money anymore, the league would collapse in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Simply because they're not going to have the money. Teams won't be able to pay the players. They won't be able to get the games broadcasted. They won't be able to pay stadium or arena employees. The league would fold in 2 to 3 years without the backing of the NBA. Same with the NWSL. Well, actually, that one kind of stands on its own because I don't think MLS has anything to do with that. And to be honest, MLS is not popular in the United States. It is.
It's more popular than you think it is, Murph.
I would make the argument that it is probably 7 or 8 on the list of sports that we watch. Now, it's in the list of sports leagues that we watch.
I'm going to tell you.
So that's taking into account college basketball, college football, college baseball, college softball, stuff like that. Like I would probably rank. I wouldn't be shocked if the WNBA ranks is higher than MLS. I'm probably stretching it there, but it would not shock me one bit.
I'm going to tell you this. It took a long time for soccer to catch on in America the way that it has all over the world. And arguably, we could say that it'll never fully catch up because of how much football, FUTBOL, is loved and revered all over the world. But I will tell you this. For those that fell asleep and woke up, the MLS had like 12 teams. You look at what they got now. In the Eastern Conference alone, they have 15. Okay? The MLS in the Eastern Conference has Nashville, Miami, Chicago, New England, the New York Red Bull, Charlotte, which is my team. Shout out the FC. What up? I was a fan a year before they even played a match. Cincinnati, New York City, DC United, Columbus, Montreal, Orlando, which I got to see them. I got to actually be with them in their facility at their practices, talking to their players and speaking with their, manager as they were coming into the MLS. Toronto, Atlanta, Philadelphia. That's all in the East. In the West, they also have 15. So in the West, they have Vancouver, San Jose, Salt Lake, Dallas, LAFC, Seattle, Houston, Minnesota, the LA Galaxy, which obviously people know David Beckham played for, San Diego, Colorado, St. Louis, Portland, Austin, and Kansas City. So you are now talking about an MLS that has the same amount of franchises as Major League Baseball, the NHL, and the NBA. They have now caught up with everyone but the NFL.
Not NHL anymore. NHL's up to 32 now.
Well, because then now they have. But
because the Kings or the Golden Knights and the what are they? The Mammoth.
The Mammoth that moved.
The Utah Mammoth.
But yeah, so when you look at
Seattle. I'm sorry, Utah was Kraken. The old Coyotes.
Yeah. So when you look at the world we live in today, I think it's easy to have the statement of, well, soccer in America is just not the same as it hasn't caught on. Yet this was a league that had 12 teams that then all of a sudden felt like it sprang to 22 overnight, and now they have 30. And so when you look at the grand scheme of things, you say this MLS is holding with the NHL, the NBA, the MLB, and the NFL for the amount of franchises. And you can't put these franchises together without millions of dollars and having the opportunity every year to put it out there is one thing, but that people are actually picking up what you're putting down is another thing for sustainability. So the MLS has proven it's sustainable. I would argue that the NFL is one. Now, Major League Baseball spends a lot of money on their players. The NBA spends a lot of money on advertising. So I would say if the NFL is one, you would like to think...
Don't do it.
Don't do it. You would like to think that Major League... And I should probably look this up. But you'd like to think that Major League Baseball is two. But the NBA spends a lot of money. And then you got the NHL...
Because they have to.
Right. But
because they lost so many viewers in 2020.
But you look at the growing of leagues. The NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, MLS. Then you probably look to the WNBA. Then you probably look to the NWSL from there. But it's... Look at where we are in America. The WNBA has added multiple franchises over the last few seasons. The WNBA has found new cities, new teams, and they have, within the last 2 years, brought in West Coast, brought in Toronto. They've brought in a bunch of different places with the Valkyrie and Toronto's new franchise that just came in this season to see what the WNBA is doing, to see what the MLS is doing. I think it's easy, and that's why I didn't want to interrupt. But when you said, hey, it's not, Major League Soccer is not, I think that's an easy take to have. I think it's easy for people to just say every year, perpetually, to just say the WNBA is not doing anything. They're not expanding. They're not growing. And MLS, it's not catching on.
Oh, they're growing.
But if you actually
they're
look
growing,
at it,
they're just not making any money.
The WNBA and the MLS have grown so much that I feel like people have to check themselves to where these leagues are right now. Because, yeah, when I was a kid, it was like, what's the MLS going to do? Can it survive? And same thing for the WNBA. But right now, the WNBA is a beacon of hope for women's professional leagues in America. And MLS, to grow to 30 franchises, they are literally on that line. And I'm not saying they're making the same amount of money, but I'm saying they're living in the world of what leagues in America have at least 30 franchises. There's only 4: MLS, NBA, NHL, MLB. Oh, pardon me. There's 5. So wait, did I do that twice? Wait, MLB,
no, there's 5.
NBA, NHL, NFL, and MLS. They have now joined the big 4, if you will, to now become another one that has at least 30 franchises. And listen, people love soccer. People eat, sleep, and breathe soccer. And I can tell you, there is a contingent of people, and there is a world that is growing. But I will tell you this: if America didn't want more MLS, if America didn't want more teams, if their cities could not sustain it, we would not have 30 franchises. So I would say back to you, Murph, that whatever you thought the MLS was, it has grown, sometimes slowly, but it has grown to a place right now where I truly, honestly believe that Major League Soccer is in a fantastic position with 30 franchises and how difficult it is to get out of this thing alive to try and win a title.
Oh, I don't disagree with you there at all. But I want to point out 2 major things that happened to Major League Soccer over the course of the last 20 years that basically took it from basically it's done to 30 franchises. It's never going to crack the big 4, but it's definitely the 5th most popular, the 5th best professional sports league in the US.
Yeah.
Sorry. 6. I'm going to put the PGA Tour ahead of them. David Beckham goes to the LA Galaxy. I want to say that was like 2008, sometime around there. The MLS was done. David Beckham comes in, league grows. What happened a few years ago? Messi comes to play for Inter Miami. Huge boom in MLS, specifically Miami. We go back to the point with the WNBA.
Oh.
Caitlin Clark. League gets bigger. You need that situation in order for the leagues to be sustainable. Not that, and look, MLS since David Beckham, between Beckham and Messi coming over to the States to play, has been growing a lot. Right? We are in a world, as much as I hate soccer, like, I will not be watching the World Cup. I could not give 2 craps if the U.S. makes it out of their pool.
Blasphemy. There's 48 countries now instead of 32. So everybody
see that.
Everybody talking about, the NCAA tournament, men's and women's basketball D1 is going to go from 68 to 76. Guess what, folks? MLS went from 36 to 48. So, I mean,
for the World Cup.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I think they went from 32 to 48 because they have groups, and they stopped at Group H, and now I think they have all the way up to Group L, which is insane, the amount of groups that are out there now. You got almost 50 countries represented in the World Cup, which is going to be it's what, and by the way, Italy didn't make it for the 3rd time in a row, and I'm losing it over here. Spain made it. So I will be cheering for Spain in the United States because I'm from the United States and my heritage is Spain and Italy. So I will be cheering for Spain. Rock on to my team that won in 2010 because I love them like that. And I got to see Spain. They won multiple Euros that I've been alive. They won the World Cup in 2010. Italy won the Euro in the COVID year, and Italy also won the World Cup in 2006. So I'm living pretty with my blood that runs through my veins because I've already seen it happen, Murph. But I will say this to you. Do yourself a favor and go to a Buffalo Wild Wings during a World Cup, like all-day soccer day.
Not happening.
It is so much fun. It is
Well,
so
for starters,
much fun.
I'll be working.
Yeah.
Because remember, I work every weekend.
I'm just saying.
But no, like for me, I hate soccer. I will not be watching it. That doesn't change the fact that yes, I would. If I was going to root for somebody, it would be the United States. Being that's where I'm from. That's where I was born and raised. That's where I live. I'm proud to be an American. If I want anyone to win, it's them. Here's the big thing. In this country, soccer is without a doubt either the fourth or fifth most popular sport.
Can I tell you the revenue?
There's no question about that. This country. In the world, yes, it is the number one sport in the world.
Can I hit you with the revenue?
From there.
So there's two things I'm going to go to for the information. I'm going to provide for you a couple different areas here. So in the 5 major leagues in America, the NFL makes the most money.
Naturally. Can I take a guess?
You can take a guess of the 5. Yes.
I'm gonna guess the order, but I also want to guess how much money the NFL made last year.
All right.
I'm gonna say the NFL made. So this is the league as a whole, right?
So this is looking at. Well, I got 2 different things. So I'm gonna go to this one.
Revenue or profit?
This is top sports leagues by revenue in 2025.
Okay. I'm gonna say the NFL made. I could be very, very, very off with this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say they made $40 billion last year.
No. So
in revenue.
It has the world's richest league is actually the NFL. So this is how it goes down. The biggest sports leagues by revenue, and this includes
how much did they make? How far off was I?
So in 2025, they have the NFL making $19.3 billion.
All right, I wasn't as far off as I thought.
But so I'm going to tell you. Do you want to guess the 5?
I want to guess the 5 in order.
All right, guess 5 in order, and then I'm going to tell you this is world. I'm going to give you. Let me see how many.
Oh, this is world. So this is
no. So
U.S. or world?
This one.
Because if it's world, the Premier League's going to be number 1.
No, this one.
Other than the NFL.
There are 10 leagues worldwide that I will present to you the 2025 revenue. I want you to tell me the top 5 leagues in America by revenue in order from 2025, and then I'll read off the 10 worldwide.
So I'm going to say it's either going to be the NBA or Major League Baseball. I'm going to probably say the NBA is 2 for revenue.
Okay. Who's 3?
Major League Baseball.
Okay.
And then I'm going to say NHL and then MLS.
All right. So this is how it goes. So in revenue, this is why when Murph said, please don't do it, but it's true. As of 2025, the NFL in professional sports leagues by revenue across the world, the NFL made the most in 2025 in revenue with $19.3 billion, followed by the NBA with $12.01 billion, followed by Major League Baseball with $11.32, followed by the Premier League with $7.10 billion.
Premier League's 4th in the world, really?
Yeah. Followed by
I would have thought that would have been ahead of the NBA and Major League Baseball.
We're not talking about contracts, we're talking about revenue. But the NHL,
I know.
The NHL,
it's the second most popular sports league in the world.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be the most popular sports league in the world, ahead of the NFL.
The NHL,
because of the amount of people that watch it.
Yeah, the NHL was 5th with $6.07 billion. La Liga was 6th with $5.24 billion. Fußball Bundesliga was 7th.
What? That sounds like a Spanish league.
Yeah, the Bundesliga. They were 7th with $4.45
No,
billion.
La Liga is Spanish, isn't it?
La Liga, yeah. And Serie A, which is in Italy, I believe, $3.62 billion is what they made. League One, $2.38 billion. And Major League Soccer is in the top 10 at 10 with $1.85 billion. Not within this 10, the WNBA. So
shocker, because they're probably like 20 on the list.
Yeah, so just to make a note of this, if we're looking at revenue coming in 2025, once again, worldwide, the 1 through 10 goes NFL, NBA, MLB, Premier League, NHL, La Liga, Fußball, Bundesliga, Serie A, League One, and MLS is 10th. So you're looking at the MLS making less than $2 billion in revenue. The closest they are to the other 4 leagues professionally in America, the closest that they are to the NHL is more than $4 billion behind them. And then between the NHL and Major League Baseball is a little over $5 million. The gap between Major League Baseball and the NBA is less than $1 million. And then the NBA to the NFL between 2 and 1 is over $7 billion, as the NFL is the richest league in the world.
That's definitely not surprising one bit. I genuinely thought Premier League would have been number 2 behind the NFL. Good for the NBA and Major League Baseball representing the United States of America. Because obviously, I mean, like we said, if it's not the NFL, the Premier League would be the number 1 most popular sports league in the world, and it might be. I don't have the stats in front of me. It would not shock me at all if it is, because you and I and all of you watching know how popular soccer is around the world.
Yeah.
In Europe, in South America, in Africa, in certain parts of Central America, it's more popular than football.
Yeah.
It's also part of the reason why the NFL is starting to go to Germany, to France, to London, to Mexico, to try to expand around the world and grow the game. And they're fighting to get a franchise in London. That would be kind of interesting if that was the case. But yeah, like clearly, I mean, obviously you see MLS being at number 10 on that list. That's not surprising at all. I'm surprised they weren't higher. There were some other soccer leagues in there in countries that I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
Like basically I knew Premier League, I knew La Liga, and that was it. I didn't know the other. I've never heard of the other ones. So obviously that's me sitting here.
Bundesliga is Germany.
That makes sense. Because of the way that sounds German.
Did you want to know 10 years ago? So a decade ago, back in 2016.
Does it show it?
Yeah, so back in 2016.
Ooh, I want to hear this.
10 years ago, number 1, NFL. Number 2,
Major League Baseball.
Number 3, NBA. Number 4, the Premier League. Number 5, the NHL. Number 6, La Liga in Spain. Number 7, Bundesliga. Number 8, Serie A in Italy. And then the MLS was 11th. PGA was 12th. And the Indian Premier League was 13th. UFC was 15th.
Indian Premier League?
Yeah. The UFC was 15th. The AFL at the time was 16th, which was in
I honestly would have
United
thought
Kingdom.
PGA would have been above MLS in last year. But then again, they've been giving out a ton of money to the players and not really bringing in as much. I think Liv kind of forced their hand with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's not at all surprising. I was never gonna sit here and say that it was gonna be bigger than the NHL because it's not. There's a reason why the Stanley Cup final between why am I blanking? Who just beat the Canadians? The Hurricanes and the Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Is gonna be one of the most fun series to watch. I mean, obviously the last 2 years we had back-to-back Panthers and Oilers, so we'll have a new champion this year. But that one will be fun to watch. But then you get like the NBA. The freaking Knicks have a chance to win a championship.
That's right.
What world are we living in?
Party like it's 1999, baby.
Where the Knicks have a chance to win a championship.
The last time it happened, Spurs-Knicks 1999. So we are partying like it's 1999, pre-Y2K, pre-will all the computers be able to work when they reset to 0.
I just really hope that history does not repeat itself with that.
No, because the Spurs
obviously, as you all know, I don't watch the NBA. I'm not a fan of anybody. But as a New York sports fan, I will be rooting for the Knicks. I'm probably not going to watch every game, but I'll probably watch 1 or 2 of the games. I'll probably watch Game 3 when they're back at the Garden. I got a friend I used to work with, Tom. If you're watching, what's up, buddy? Hope your Knicks can win a championship, but he's going to Game 3, and it's not cheap. I saw the cheapest tickets just to get in the arena are like $6,000 right now on the secondary market, which is insane. But the city is ready to explode. I think the city's going to burn down whether they win or not. But if the Knicks win and we get a parade through the Canyon of Heroes, the first one since the Giants championship back in in 20, I guess that was 2012 or 2011.
Yeah.
Because I don't call me a hypocrite. I don't count the Liberty. That don't count.
I would count the Liberty.
But the amount
Breonna
of people
Stewart, baby,
that will
CNS,
flood the streets of New York City through the Canyon of Heroes. If the Knicks win a championship, Mamdani might have to shut the entire city down because, nobody would be going to work.
Yeah.
Nobody would be on Wall Street. Nobody would be in the financial district. Nothing.
I will tell you this right now
All
from
of
walking
Manhattan
the street.
would have to get shut down if the Knicks win a championship.
I will tell you this from walking the streets of New York City. It is busy enough and dirty enough on a normal day. If people are going to be outside celebrating, you need to shut it down. So, you need to shut that thing down.
I think Mamdani understands that if that happens, he's gonna have to step in and do something about the entire city. Probably give the whole city a day off for the parade.
Yeah.
Because it would be their first championship in 53 years.
Well, here's the question.
There are Knicks fans that were children the last time they won, or younger ones that have never seen them win.
Here's the question,
go to the finals.
How do angry people celebrate? That's something.
They riot.
And please don't. Please.
No, please.
For the love
please
of God,
do not
don't
destroy this.
I feel like if
San Antonio, the city that I love.
I feel like if San Antonio wins, there might be some fireworks, maybe a couple idiots. I think if New York wins, they're gonna have to shut it down because they'll think there's some takeover. So
yeah, I can tell you this right now, and I've been seeing the debates about this forever, and all week since the Knicks won Game 4 and swept the Cavs. This championship, if they were to win, is gonna mean so much to the city of New York.
100%.
Because realistically, the Nets are New Jersey's team. They always have been, even though the name is Brooklyn. They were the New Jersey Nets forever.
Yeah.
They're New Jersey's team. Whether you're a Mets fan, Jets fan, Yankees fan, Giants fan, Rangers fan, Islanders fan, Devils fan, a lot of New Yorkers are Knicks fans.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't necessarily fit into that boat. I'm not somebody that watches the NBA. Yeah. But I will be rooting for the Knicks. Hometown team.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? The last time the Knicks won a championship, the Mets got there. Not saying that that's going to happen this year because they freaking suck, but the last time the Knicks won a championship, the Mets made the World Series. So who knows? Yeah. But the Knicks have been a franchise that have had some great players come through and not win. In recent years, they've been laughed at. They missed out on LeBron. They missed out on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, who went to Brooklyn. They go and sign Jalen Brunson, who everyone was saying, oh, they're overpaying this guy. He stinks. He's been the best player on the floor. They've won 11 straight games.
Yeah.
This is an unreal run that they are on. The Spurs took a freaking beating against the Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander took a beating by himself because he was flopping every other play. Sorry, I just had to get that one out there.
Somebody's got to do it with LeBron out of the playoffs.
And you know what it is? LeBron made it famous, but LeBron never went this far. Shai is falling over on every shot he takes, expecting a foul.
You know, when guys shoot threes, they throw themselves on the ground. So, I mean, it's really I feel like if you did that during like Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson,
I feel like
they would have stepped on you. So
you get body slammed.
I honestly feel like I feel like Barkley would have stepped on you.
Pile driver.
So
they would, if you're doing that in the Bad Boys against the Bad Boys Pistons in the 90s,
yeah,
somebody's gonna step in and if you're not already on the ground, they're gonna put you on the ground, and the refs aren't gonna call crap.
I do want to do this before we go to break here. We've been all over the place in the sports world, but I do want to hit with this. As the Women College World Series has now led us to our final 4 teams, I want to talk about the road and how we got here. Just to let everybody know, these pods that we had. So Alabama, coming from the pod that featured Southeast Louisiana, Belmont, and USC Upstate, Alabama won that pod, and they faced off against LSU, who won their pod of LSU, Virginia Tech, South Alabama, and Akron. And then when Alabama faced LSU, of course, Alabama won there from that pod. In the other pods we had, UCF, Central Florida, they won their pod of Stetson, Jackson State, and Florida State. That was an all-Florida pod, which I thought was awesome. I do like when they regionalize these things. And in that case, statewide, it was all teams in Florida. So UCF won that, and UCLA faced them as UCLA defeated their pod of South Carolina, Cal BAP, as well as Cal State Fullerton, and then UCLA defeated UCF from that piece. And then we had Arkansas winning their pod of Washington, Fordham, and South Florida. Duke won their pod of Arizona, Howard, and Marshall, and Arkansas defeated Duke. And then we had Oklahoma State winning their pod over Stanford, Princeton, and Eastern Illinois to face off against Nebraska, who won their pod of Louisville, South Dakota, and Grand Canyon. And then Nebraska defeated Oklahoma State. So that gave us Alabama, UCLA, Arkansas, and Nebraska coming out of their world. And then we got to see Alabama and, well, we'll get to that in a second. So on one side of the bracket, we had Alabama, UCLA, Arkansas, Nebraska. Let's go to the other side, the right side for the women. Oklahoma won their pod that they hosted against Kansas. Binghamton, who made it in back-to-back years, shout out to the Bearcats, and Michigan. And then Mississippi State won their pod over Oregon, Idaho State, and St. Mary's. Texas Tech won their pod over Ole Miss, Marist, and Boston University. When Oklahoma went up against Mississippi State, the team we're typically used to seeing there was knocked out as Mississippi State moved forward. And then Texas Tech, when they advanced through their pod, faced Florida, who won their pod over Texas State. Florida A&M and Georgia Tech. Texas Tech took down Florida in the college softball Division I postseason. And then Tennessee won their pod over Virginia, Northern Kentucky, and Indiana to face off against Georgia, a team they know all too well in the SEC, who won their pod over College of Charleston, Clemson, and UNC Greensboro. And then we saw Arizona State advance out of their pod, defeating the likes of Texas A&M, McNeese State, UConn, who didn't advance out of there, and Arizona State faced off against Texas after Texas won the pod over Wisconsin, Wagner, and Baylor. So Texas wins over Arizona State, Tennessee over Georgia once again, Texas Tech over Florida, and Mississippi State over Oklahoma, which gave us our pods that featured Nebraska, Texas, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. Texas and Tennessee advanced out of that, and Alabama and Texas Tech advanced out of their pod that featured Arkansas and UCLA, which has led us to our Final Four, with Tennessee facing Texas, Alabama facing Texas Tech, and 2 of these teams will advance to the Women's College World Series to determine who will be our 2026 champion. That's how we got here, and we will talk about Division I baseball right after this fast break. We'll talk about the road of where we are right now. Of course, softball started before baseball, so they're a little bit farther ahead. We'll get into where baseball is at as we step forward, and we'll let you know who is where and who's still dancing in NCAA Division I in the hopes of a Men's College World Series. That's coming up on Wake Up Call inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios right after this.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Hi, this is Chris Rauda.
And Colleen Rakowski from Gray's Craze of Clay.
It's a fun, innovative, upscale catering solution. We've turned eating into a whole new experience. Each of our boards is packed with delicious mix of artisan cheeses. We use premium cured meats, fresh fruits, nuts, and all of the sweet touches that really bring out the best in every perfect bite.
We offer something as small as a grab and go that feeds 1, maybe 2 people, to our large board that can serve anywhere up to 25, 28 people. So we have the ability to really meet and hopefully exceed all of our customers' expectations when it comes to the different varieties of things that we have.
Charcuterie boards or boxes are healthy, fresh, delicious. They're made to order. We're baking the breads here daily. We're baking the cookies here daily. All of our dips are homemade, made in-house. All of our spreads are all made in-house.
When you open that board or box that we have delivered or you have picked up, we want you to know that it was made with care and designed to completely elevate your event, celebration, or meeting.
We've catered parties and events for up to 300 people. So if you're walking in to grab something for lunch or something for date night or movie night, that's great too. Our events go from you eating in the car on the way home to a catering event in a rehearsal dinner or cocktail hour or party.
When we do, again, know what the event is, specifically for a wedding, we like to schedule tastings so the bride and groom can come in and see what we have to offer, and we can then, as we talk, to try to understand what they're looking for, what the venue's like. We do like to have that one-on-one interaction when it comes to catering bigger events.
Our address is 4599 State Route 31, Suite 5 in Clay, New York. We're on the corner of Route 31 and Henry Clay at Clay Marketplace.
You can order on the phone by calling area code 315-409-4171 or online at grayscraze.com/clay-ny. Come visit us at Gray's Craze of Clay, New York,
where we want you to celebrate everything.
Hey everybody, this is Rockney Roberts from Willow Rock Brewing Company. We are here in Cicero at the Willow Rock Pizza Pub.
And I'm Kevin Williams, also from Willow Rock Brewing Company. Happy to be here and happy to be partnering with CNS and Dan Tortora.
You want some place where you can feel comfortable and hopefully ingratiate yourself with the community. And Kevin, he grew up right down the road from here. I grew up in Brewerton, so not too far away. We know the area, we know the people, they're great, and we were just really excited to be able to come to the area.
Yeah, and having the opportunity to meet some of these coaches, some of the people in general already, and seeing the CNS colors kind of around, and already partnering on a smaller level with individual teams really made this make sense to us to really formalize kind of a partnership with the school and get this rolling.
Willow Rock to me has always been about high quality beverages, high quality experiences, and now high quality food in our pizza pub. That was something new for us when we came to Cicero. Right from the drop, we knew we were going to have a focus on the highest quality food to go with our high quality beer. At the Willow Rock Pizza Pub, you're getting high quality, hand cut, top notch ingredients. We're open for lunch. That's a really important thing for us, is to be able to get that person in here like, hey, you only got 30 minutes for lunch, but we're gonna have something for you that you can get quickly and available to everybody.
Yeah, we wanted something that was just a little bit outside the box, a little bit outside of comfort zone, but still something that you could rely on to be consistent and easy to look at and easy to be like, oh, I can see myself eating this. I can see myself wanting to have that more than once. Eating a whole pizza like our beef on weck pizza, I've never seen one anywhere. It's just a great ideas, great inspiration across the board. We're their spot to stop. We're their friendly neighborhood watering hole, as well as pizza place and place to stop for a restaurant. Not just beer drinkers here. We've got wines, we got cocktails, we got non-alcoholic stuff for the kids.
The location is more important today than it ever has been before, and we're lucky enough to be here in Cicero. The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is a place where you can bring your family. You can come in, you can grab a soda, you can relax. You can come after a game, before a game, your parents, your grandparents. Our goal is to make sure that everyone's comfortable here. We want students, we want athletes, we want your coaches. It's going to be a good time. So come here, enjoy the high quality food, high quality beverage that we're going to offer to everybody. And hey, go North Stars.
We're so happy to have the North Stars. We are very much a kid-friendly establishment. We have tons of space outside for everybody to be playing outside, as well as listening to live music, enjoying some pizza.
The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is open 6 days a week here in Cicero. That is Tuesday through Sunday. And our website is willowrockbrew.com, and our socials are at Willow Rock Brew. So find us on the net, find us in person. We'll see you soon.
Hi, this is Gina Husted. I'm part owner of Skippy's Ice Cream. The other half is my better half, Don Husted Jr. When somebody comes up to the truck and it's a family, it's nice that the older generation is nostalgic and they can tell the younger generation, back in my day, we used to have the truck around our neighborhood. So now you're lucky because the truck can come to your party, and you're lucky that this truck is at a festival and you're getting to buy the ice cream. And basically we're ice cream that comes to you now, specifically comes to you, not for you waiting for us, we're coming to you. We will do neighborhoods if you have a block party. We do birthdays, we do anniversaries, we do celebrations of life, we do wedding showers, we do festivals, we'll do corporate events, we have a lot of corporate picnics, we have family reunions, so it's a whole wide range of whatever party you have, we'd love to be at. We're so appreciative of the community, always coming up to us at festivals and calling us to have different events. We have a lot of return customers. We always have people coming up to our truck. We're always there for the community. We always try to give back to different organizations and fundraisers, and so I think the community sees that. We like to give back to them. This is where we live. This is where we were raised. This is where our kids were raised. So the community is very special to us. I mean, obviously we've lived here our whole lives, so it means a lot that they come up to our truck and that they choose us, because we're just there to please the community and deal with as many people as we can in this community, because this is, like I said, where we were born and raised. If you'd like to get in touch with Skippy's Ice Cream and have us at your next event, I would suggest using our email, skipthecake, SKIPTAGCAKE, skipthecake@gmail.com. That's the fastest way to get a hold of us. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us, and that's going to get the fastest response from us. If you choose to call, if you don't have an email, then you can call 315-456-9750, and we'll be glad to get back to you as soon as we can. Skippy's Ice Cream, the original ice cream truck.
And now a message from Myers Creek Brewing Company, with locations at their Cazenovia Farm Brewery, Syracuse Inner Harbor Tap Room, and soon-to-be Lake Placid Tap Room.
Well, I think first and foremost, the Feldmeyer family and our team are extremely passionate about what we do. We care very much about what we do. The Feldmeyer family is always investing. Our taproom management team, our brew management team, our marketing management team, and all of the team members that get after it every day, they leave it on the field. They put their heart and soul into it. I know for a fact that everyone that works at Myers Creek wants to be there, and we want them to be there. You know, we want them to feel good about their job. And again, if you've never been to a Myers Creek, especially to the brewery, I mean, I want your eyes to open really big. I want you to see how big of a brand this is. I want you to see where we're going. The sky is the limit, and I feel very proud of that, and I'm very excited about that. When you think of designing a menu for a brewery, it's kind of open to a lot of different interpretations. I mean, you can do American, you can do Asian, you can do Italian, and you just have to find, you know, how that meets that pub style dining experience, that gastropub vibe. And I think it's super fun for us because obviously we know that, you know, everyone in the world's going to sell a pizza or a burger or a french fry, but what can we do to be different? And what can we do to be true to who we are? We are a brewery, you know, a brew pub. So the flavor profiles are kind of all over the place. And I think it's super cool that we have a massive smoker at the brewery in Cazenovia, and we smoke a lot of our products. A delicious smoked turkey. We have barbecue ribs on Sundays. From a pulled pork sandwich to a chicken wing, you go to the Inner Harbor and you go to the Caz location and you'll find similarities in the menu, but also things that are a little different and also kind of fit those different demographics or different communities, and also hopefully just drive you to try every tap room that we have open at some point, because you get a little something different at each one. You know, we understand how hard it is to, you know, work every day and get after it every day, and when you're done at the end of your day, you want to go out and put your feet up in a good ambiance and good environment. So we take pride in that. We make sure that everyone knows that they're very much valued to us.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They're open for sales and service Monday through Saturday. And, of course, all the time online at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Buy and lease. They have new and used vehicles. And you can get a sneak peek of their inventory by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. The Murphalation Station is here in his new studio. It is June 1st. We are bringing you into an all-new month. And, of course, we will determine a champion not only for the Women's College World Series, but the Men's College World Series, which started a little bit later. As we know, they stagger them. So we jump into softball. We're in it. We're in the heat of things, thick of things, and we get to see our final four teams. And the men start a little bit later, so then we get to see them come in, and they are currently figuring out who's advancing through the pods. So let's let you know what it looks like in the world of Division I baseball as we take a look at the bracket. So coming out of one of the brackets here, UCLA, Virginia Tech, and St. Mary's. Guess who won that bracket, baby? Cal mother-freaking Poly from the Big West, taking down the ACC, the WCC, and the Big Ten. And the representation in this bracket of the 1 seed, which was UCLA, Cal Poly, is advancing forward, and they will play the winner of West Virginia and Kentucky as Wake Forest and Binghamton, who made it for the second year in a row for Binghamton baseball after becoming back-to-back America East champions. Second time that, so they've gotten 2 in a row, 7 overall Binghamton in the America East for championships. And so them and Wake Forest being eliminated means that West Virginia, who is hosting the pod, it'll either be them or Kentucky to face off against Cal Poly. And then we have the Little Rock, Arkansas moving forward in a bracket that featured that featured Southern Miss, Virginia, and Jacksonville State. Little Rock has moved forward, and they will face off against either Florida or Troy, as Florida and Troy in the college baseball Division I world have eliminated in their pod Rider and Miami. We will see North Carolina, who has advanced over Tennessee, VCU, and East Carolina, and they step forward to face off the winner of Texas A&M and USC in a pod where we've already seen Lamar and Texas State eliminated. Ole Miss wins in their pod over South Dakota State, Arizona State, and Nebraska, and they will face the winner of either Milwaukee or Auburn, as they have eliminated NC State and UCF from that pod hosted by Auburn. That's on the left side of the bracket. On the right side of the bracket, we will see Georgia Tech or Oklahoma advance. Oklahoma is in a place where they could be eliminated in both softball and baseball Division I if Georgia Tech is to advance here out of the pod that Georgia Tech is hosting in Atlanta, Georgia. UIC and the Citadel have been eliminated. It'll be Georgia Tech or Oklahoma facing off against Kansas, who won their pod over Missouri State, Northeastern, and Arkansas. Florida State and St. John's will face off for the rights to move forward over a pod that's already saw the elimination of NIU and a team that Murph spoke very highly about, Coastal Carolina. Florida State or St. John's will play the winner will play Alabama, who won in Tuscaloosa in their pod over Alabama State, USC Upstate, and Oklahoma State. Texas has already moved on from their pod over the College of the Holy Cross, Tarleton State, and UC Santa Barbara. Oregon is who they will be facing, who won their pod over Yale, Washington State, and Oregon State. Mississippi State won their pod over Lipscomb, Cincinnati, and Louisiana, facing off against a team that they know all too well from the SEC in Georgia, who won their pod over LIU, Liberty, and Boston College. So once again, we have not even determined who's come out of the pods yet, as we have the staggering of baseball starting later than softball. So we know Cal Poly is in, but we're still awaiting who they will face, still awaiting who Little Rock, Arkansas will face, still awaiting who North Carolina will face, as well as Ole Miss. That's all on the left side of the bracket, which hasn't been decided yet. On the right side of the bracket, Kansas still awaits, Alabama still awaits. The only matchups we know for the next round are going to be Texas, Oregon, and Georgia, Mississippi State. Murph, your thoughts? And how about the Big West taking out UCLA and the crew for Cal Poly moving on?
Well, realistically, it wasn't Cal Poly that took out UCLA. It was St. Mary's that took out UCLA.
Well, I'm just saying who made it through the bracket.
I know, but St. Mary's did the dirty work, and Cal Poly was just the beneficiary. But still, UCLA became the first number 1 overall seed to lose their opening game in regionals ever.
Yeah.
No number 1 overall seed has ever lost their first game in their regional. So
they're about to get kicked out of the Big Ten.
I think, and I've been seeing everybody talk about how this UCLA team is a bunch of frauds. I mean, they have the potential number 1 overall pick on their team, and they just looked like they didn't belong on the same field.
Yeah.
UCLA, obviously in the Big Ten now, in the previously member of the Pac-12. The Pac-12 has always been a good baseball conference. Always was. I mean, Oregon State's won multiple national championships. UCLA's won national championships in the past. A lot of that conference has done well in the past. Arizona State, Arizona, teams like that. Now a lot of them are playing in the Big Ten. Some of them are in the Big 12. The Big Ten in baseball is a horrible conference. I would take some mid-major conferences over the Big Ten in baseball by a long shot. They won, I think it was 22 or 23 straight games at one point. They were 51-6 coming into the tournament, coming into regionals, and they host, right? The 16 regionals are hosted by the top seed. They didn't just lose, like, it's not like they won their first game against the last team in, and then they ended up going and proceeding to lose their in the regional championship. They got beat twice by St. Mary's in their regional.
Yeah.
That is an embarrassing look for UCLA. That's an embarrassing look for the Big Ten, to be frank. And just looking at who's still alive, do I see any big... Okay, Oregon. But again, Oregon, former Pac-12 team.
Yeah.
Oregon's always played good in baseball. Oregon's the only Big Ten team left.
Yeah.
I don't see Oregon beating Texas in the Super Regionals. So, obviously you still got some regions yet to be determined. You got Auburn and Milwaukee. You got Texas A&M and USC. Actually, technically USC is a Big Ten team. They're still alive.
Yeah.
But then you got Florida and Troy. God, please let Florida win their regional. I mean, they've been to the College World Series each of the last 3 years.
How about this, Murph, though? We talk about Coastal Carolina and how good they've been in baseball. They're from the Sun Belt. Who's also from the Sun Belt? Troy.
Dude, I will take the Sun Belt over the Big Ten in college baseball all day, every day.
And I'm also sad
and twice on Sundays.
And I'm sad to see East Carolina out of it because they've made a run before.
They're a historically good baseball program,
and they're out of the American.
They were nationally ranked for a while this year.
So give the American again their flowers in yet another sport, as East Carolina has been great at what they've done, but they didn't make it out of the North Carolina regional. I want to give people an example here, Murph, to let people know, like, how do you get out of a regional? How do you get out of a pod? How do you go from regional to super regional when there's 4 teams? To somebody who doesn't know, so I'm going to paint the picture for you all so you have it, okay? So there's 6 games, 6 or 7 games that can happen here depending on how things go. So let's just take the LA regional for an example, the number 1 overall seed, UCLA, since we've been talking about them. So game 1 in the LA regional, which is that pod that I'm talking about, the first round of college baseball's bracket. In the LA regional, game 1 was number 4, St. Mary's, because each pod, they rank you 1 through, they put you in your seeding 1 through 4. So UCLA is the number 1 seed. They're hosting. So they face off against 4-seeded St. Mary's. In game 1 of the pod of these 4 teams, St. Mary's, Cal Poly, UCLA, and Virginia Tech, game 1, St. Mary's defeated UCLA 3-2. So now St. Mary's, they're 1-0. UCLA is on the verge of elimination. Game 2, 3-seeded Cal Poly defeats 2-seeded Virginia Tech 6-2. So Cal Poly's in good shape. Virginia Tech is on the precipice of being eliminated. So now you got St. Mary's and Cal Poly both won. So now UCLA and Virginia Tech, who both lost, they play game 3 to eliminate one of those 2 teams. UCLA defeats Virginia Tech 6-5, so Virginia Tech gets eliminated. Now there's 3 teams left in the LA Regional. So then we go to game 4. Cal Poly and St. Mary's both won, so now they face each other. Cal Poly defeats St. Mary's. So now Cal Poly's 2-0, St. Mary's is on the verge of losing, so now they got to play UCLA. UCLA has a loss, St. Mary's has a loss. They face off against each other while Cal Poly waits. In game 5, St. Mary's defeats UCLA 6-5. They eliminate UCLA, which leaves Cal Poly and St. Mary's, as we saw Virginia Tech with 2 losses, double elimination gone. UCLA 2 losses, double elimination gone. Cal Poly had no losses, and St. Mary's had 1 loss. So they face each other, and Cal Poly won that game 5-2, and so Cal Poly won the regional. That's how it works. Okay, you have each regional, each pod is seeded 1 through 4. And 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. The winners of those games play each other. The losers of those games play each other. When the 2 losers play each other, whoever loses that game is out because they have 2 losses. And then we see the winners play each other. One of them is going to take a loss. So now you got, from the winners bracket, if you will, within the pod, you have a 1-loss team. And from the losers bracket, you have a 1-loss team. So they got to play each other to eliminate one or the other. And then whoever has 2 losses from there faces off against the team who did not lose. And in this case, Cal Poly does not have a loss. So that's how a regional works. That's how you get to the super regionals. You go through your pot of 4 and you play that round robin, and you keep winning, you put yourself in good shape. You lose, you gotta be eliminated through 2 games. You can't be single eliminated. And then that brings us to the super regional, which gives us this pod and another pod facing off however the bracket is structured. Whichever pods are closest to each other, whoever comes out of one will face the one that comes out of the other. So in the case of Cal Poly, they're still awaiting because the other side of the bracket has not been decided yet of who's going to. So Cal Poly's awaiting to see West Virginia and Kentucky, and then whoever wins from that regional will go into the super regional to face off against Cal Poly. So that's just to let you know how double elimination works and who plays who and how does it happen. So the best way to remember it is 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3, which is normal for people to recognize that in any postseason. And then the winner of both of those games moves into the winner's bracket, if you will, within this pod. And then the 2 losers move into the loser's bracket. Those 2 losers play each other. The 2 winners play each other. The 2 losers, the second loss that comes from those 2 losers, whoever loses that, out. And then loser plays the loser of the winner's bracket. So then you got the 2 1-loss teams. And then whoever wins that moves on to play the team that hasn't lost and eliminates the other. And that's really how every single regional works, to help you understand what double elimination means. And Murph, we're still so early in college baseball because, again, we only know half of the left side of the bracket of who's moving on. And as far as the right side of the bracket, we're still waiting for 2 of those teams to figure out where they're going. So we have 4 of the 8 teams on the left side that know, or pardon me. Yeah, we have four of the 8 teams on the left side and 6 of the 8 teams on the right side. So we're still waiting on some decisions to come through. And there's some cool things that could happen here. We could see a 4-seeded St. John's upend a 1-seeded Florida State. That's still ripe for the taking here, that we could see something like that happen as we step forward. We could see, and as far as Auburn's bracket, we're waiting to see who's going to find life outside of that. And, I got to give Little Rock, Arkansas credit too, because we're looking at Arkansas, Little Rock, and they're going to play the winner of Florida and Troy. Let's say that they were to continue on. We could see a Cal Poly Little Rock Super Regional Championship going up against each other, those two Super Regional champions. We could still see the underdogs move forward. So there's a lot in that top part of the left side of the bracket that could really make things interesting for everybody. And what I love about baseball and softball, and coaches just said this to me recently, when it comes to the sport of baseball or softball, it don't matter what conference you come from, because when you get out there and you play those innings, anybody can get hot, any pitcher can do well, and if there's a team you haven't seen, anybody can catch you off guard. And we've already seen Little Rock and Cal Poly move forward, which is pretty cool.
For sure. And, you saw it with St. Mary's against UCLA, did it twice.
Yeah.
Cal Poly benefits from that. I think St. Mary's was probably, I think they probably just overdid it against and played 2 crazy games against UCLA. To the point where they were probably out of gas. But, they, Cal Poly benefits, they move on. But, so Florida and Troy, Florida hadn't lost in their regional until last night, and they lose to Troy. So they play tonight in that deciding game to see who goes on to the Super Regionals. And Florida is the number 10 overall seed, I believe. So, they had another pretty good year under Kevin O'Sullivan, and, obviously I'm hoping that they can make another run to the College World Series. That'd be obviously fun to watch. The game's at 6 o'clock tonight. I will be, assuming I am not busy, I will be watching the game on SEC Network, so that'll be fun. But you're 100% right that this college baseball is where mid-majors thrive. So I just want to give you an idea of just who. Let me see the top 25 rankings. So right now, obviously, you had Jacksonville State was in the top 25. Southern Miss was hosting a regional. Coastal Carolina just dropped outside the top 25. Louisiana, last year, Dallas Baptist was a team that was making a lot of noise. Obviously, at Coastal Carolina, Troy's involved this year. St. John's obviously is the 4th seed in the Tallahassee regional. They got a chance to upset Florida State.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty fun to watch. I always look forward to the College World Series or the College World Series, yes, but postseason baseball for college baseball.
Yeah.
Because this is where you're going to see the next crop of major leaguers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that are playing in this thing that are going to be in the big league in a handful of years. Right? So, these guys are going to be, we're seeing more and more that college players are getting ranked, are getting drafted more highly than high school players. I think it's only a matter of time before they start making you go to college before you can be drafted. Just because you're starting to see more and more prospects develop into better players that go to college.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the last handful of number 1 overall picks, most of them have been college players, right? And a lot of them are in the big leagues. And a lot of them are having success because they had time to develop in college. Then they develop and get more in the minor leagues, and then they get themselves up to Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this. It's obviously I'm rooting for my team, but it's definitely cool to see some mid majors getting involved and winning games and giving themselves a chance to make it to the Super Regionals, and only 8 make it to Omaha.
Yeah.
So whoever those 8 are, it'll be fun to watch. I hope it's, obviously I hope it's my Gators, but ultimately you got they would be playing Little Rock if they made it into the Super Regionals, and I'm not going to sit here and say that that's going to be a difficult series. It's a series that they should win pretty easily if they get there. But yeah, I mean, if they make it to Omaha, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anything can happen, especially with St. John's having a chance to upset Florida State. Florida State's got to beat them twice.
Yeah.
St. John's hasn't lost a game yet.
Yeah.
So, assuming they win one of those 2 games, that game's actually on in about 40 minutes. I'll probably have to listen to that game a little bit in the car on my way back north today. But that would be fun to watch because they would play, I believe they would play Alabama if they make it through. Let me just double check that here. Yeah, they would play Alabama if they get out of if they beat Florida State in one of those 2 games today.
Yeah.
That's the other cool thing about regionals is, if you win both of your games before the regional final,
yeah,
you got 2 chances to win 1 game.
Yeah.
If you're, for a team like, if you lose one, like UCLA, if they would have won last night and beat St. Mary, or they would have won yesterday and they beat St. Mary's, they had to beat them twice in order to make it out. So that's the cool thing about round robin play is you gotta, if you win your first 2 games, all you gotta do is win 1 more. You can lose 1 and still be good. But if you lose early, you gotta beat that team twice, which is not easy.
Yeah.
Now what plays into especially for St. John's, what plays to their advantage is the fact that they are the home team for game 1.
Yeah.
They win game 1, they're in. They lose game 1, now they play at 4:00 for a doubleheader, and you probably already burned your best pitcher. Now you're the road team. You don't get last licks. Last licks are huge in baseball.
Yeah.
It's the only sport where that really matters. It doesn't matter where you play. If you're the home team, you get last licks.
Yeah.
St. Mary's beat UCLA on a walk-off yesterday to knock them out. If UCLA was the home team, they get a chance, to win that.
Yeah.
Now, there were some people talking about how, if you're the regional host, you should never be the road team. I don't fully disagree with that, but I don't fully agree with that either.
Yeah.
I think your first 2 games, right? If you win your first game, and then let's just say you're playing in an elimination game. If you make it to the regional final, you should not be the home team for your first game. The team that is undefeated should be the home team. But for them, against in the second game against St. Mary's, I mean, I guess you could say, yeah, they lost to St. Mary's, so theoretically they should be the road team. But if you're a regional host and you're not playing for a regional championship and you're not there yet, I feel like they probably should be the home team. Number 1 overall seed. Why are you having to play on the road when you're hosting the tournament, when you're hosting the regional?
Yeah.
That's the only change that I would make. If you're the team that has to win 2, you shouldn't be the home team for game 1. You want to give them the home team for game 2 because they're hosting the regional, they get the advantage there. Go 1,000%. But I don't believe you should be the home team for game 1 in that particular series. If you are the team that's 2-0, then yeah, you should host both games.
Yeah.
You should be the home team for both of those games.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, listen.
I think that's fair.
Listen, you already get to host your regional. Right? You're the number 1 you're the number 1 seed in your regional. You already get the home area advantage, the home field advantage, the home community advantage. If you're not winning games, you haven't earned the advantage. You earned in your season to host the pod, to host the regional. But if you're losing in the regional, then you can, I mean, I'm all for, listen, you're the top seed, you host the regional, you earn that right. but you can lose the right to command yourself as the home squad if you're not taking care of business. And there's certain teams that don't. What I find to be really interesting, and I love this, like I said, some of these regionals are going to have 6 games and some have 7 because we have to have these double headers because there's teams that have not lost. And so it makes it really interesting to say some of these are going to be decided between, because you look at it like this, Cal Poly hasn't lost, Little Rock has, all the teams that have advanced at this point do not have a loss. But Auburn and Milwaukee, they each have a loss. So they're not going to play a doubleheader because they each have a loss. So whoever wins that one game is in. Then you look at Texas A&M and USC. They both have a loss. So they're going to play a North Carolina team that hasn't lost yet, and they're only going to play one game. Troy and Florida, they're going to play one game. They both have a loss. West Virginia and Kentucky, they're going to play one game. They both have a loss. Georgia Tech and Oklahoma are going to play one game to see who plays Kansas. But in the case of Florida State and St. John's, as Murph so aptly brought up here, because St. John's has no losses, St. John's has 2 shots to go play Alabama. Florida State only has 1. If Florida State wins or loses in the game that starts at noon Eastern time today, it's over. Then we don't need the game at 4 o'clock, and it's done because Florida State comes in with a loss and St. John's doesn't. So, and that's the only series that has that. Every other series will play one game because both of those teams have a loss, and they're trying.
All the other series had those game ones yesterday.
Yeah. So I mean, we're going to find out very quickly here who's going to go from all of these that have already suffered a loss, except for Florida State and St. John's. St. John's has 2 shots. And here's the great thing. St. John's is the 4 seed. Florida State is the 1 seed in the pod, in the regional. Yet Florida State's got their back up against the wall, and St. John's knows they got 2 shots here. So they will start things off. Florida State and St. John's will start things off at noon Eastern time. Then we'll go to Georgia Tech and Oklahoma, who will decide who makes it. And then St. John's and Florida State, if they need another one. Milwaukee and Auburn will decide who's going to move forward. Troy and Florida, Kentucky and West Virginia, and USC and Texas A&M. So by the end of the day today, we will know who is moving on to the Super Regionals. We already know a bunch of those teams that have stepped forward. We know 6 of them on the right side of the bracket. We know 4 of them on the left side of the bracket. And we'll see who will face off in these matchups. The Super Regionals will be decided today, and only one of those could feature 2 games. I will take the final step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. When Murph and I come back, we will reluctantly talk about his Mets right after this.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry-loving friend. Right, Lily? In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. It could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here, we just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to, Buffalo. They're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously, a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. And I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people, that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing. And so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and drinks. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time in the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and then those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community community any way we can. And I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gamepointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Find your way over to GG Cards and Breaks Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5. Get yourself closer to the players you love, the teams you love, and the trading card games you love to play, the characters that you love. Whether you're collecting Pokemon, Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, One Piece, or you're going and finding your favorite players and teams in the world of hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball, football. It all converges at GG Cards and Breaks, the place to be a big kid no matter what your age is. Go and celebrate what it's like to just have fun in a great community that is led by fantastic, caring people. GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. We will see you over there Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Big time shout out to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. They're doing something called Nostalgia, which is taking the nostalgia, the things that you love from Chick-fil-A, and giving you a little new spin to it. Nostalgia means the Jalapeno Ranch Club chicken sandwich is waiting for you. Jalapeno Ranch Club on top of original, spicy, or grilled. So the nostalgia, the original, the spicy, the grilled. The new part of that nostalgia is your Jalapeno Ranch Club on top of whichever one you choose, be it the original sandwich, the spicy chicken, or the grilled. And of course, they have their strawberry hibiscus beverages as well as their new frosted beverages. So you can get a soda now frosted instead of simply just getting a soda. You can frost it, which is really cool. You could do that with the lemonades and more. Chick-fil-A in DeWitt on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. Megan Sorber and her team cannot wait to see you, and you cannot miss them. Giant brick building, double drive-through, massive parking lot. Chick-fil-A on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard, waiting to serve you today, and we look forward to seeing you out there. With that being said, Murph and I here bringing you college softball, college baseball, now Major League Baseball. We have been on the diamond throughout the broadcast today, interwoven conversations about a bunch of things, and of course, remembering Gavin, who passed away from Ball State football, and God bless to him, to his family, to all of his loved ones, to be together even in death, because dying you destroyed our death, and rising you restored our life. Jesus Christ, in your name we pray. Amen. With that being said, and I got to say the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. We are here with Major League Baseball to round out today's show. To start off June, as we're here on June 1st. And so there's a bunch of things to talk about. One of the things that I want to get into, there's a bunch of different places I'm going to go here, but I want to definitely start things off with this, Murph. The ABS system, some people like it, some people don't. Papa Joe loathes it. But I want to get into something that happened here in the series between the Athletics and the Yankees. So let's break it down. The ABS system, which has been implemented this year, which is supposed to help the Major League Baseball world with automated balls and strikes, and you can challenge it if you are a pitcher, if you're a catcher, if you're a hitter, you can go ahead and challenge. And so the ABS system, what did I tell you, folks? Anything created by human beings is flawed, because if we are not perfect, nothing we create can be perfect. And what did I tell you about technology? It falters. Because if we're not perfect and we create technology, we are imperfect, creating something that will be imperfect. And technology, no matter what, and you've seen it here on the show, technology has glitches. You can do nothing to your computer. Keep all your settings the same for 6 months. Come in 6 months and 1 day, and your computer has totally changed its settings. Things aren't talking to each other. This microphone's not working. This wire is being squirrely. And why? Because you did absolutely nothing. Because technology is technology, and technology eventually, at some point, will glitch. Well, the ABS system, technology created by man, has in fact glitched. And it glitched during the Oakland A's Yankees series over the weekend here. And let's discuss what happened on Saturday night. A pitch to A's left fielder Tyler Soderstrom in the fourth inning was confirmed as a strike, even though the replay showed it missed the zone by a little less than an inch. The call in question came in the fourth inning of the 6-4 win by the Athletics, where Ryan Weathers threw a 2-0 pitch that was called a strike. Soderstrom immediately challenged the call because he thought the pitch was low. After a short delay, plate umpire Adam Beck announced that the pitch was confirmed as a strike, and the A's lost their challenge. But the replay on MLB.com showed the pitch was 0.8 inches low and should have been called a ball. It ended up being mostly moot as Soderstrom eventually drew a walk, although the A's lost one challenge. Quote, the explanation on the field was the umpires were told from the communication upstairs, the controller of the ABS, that the call was confirmed, end quote. That was from A's manager Mark Kotsay said after the game. Kotsay said that the A's saw the replay at the end of the inning on the iPad in the dugout, which is standard, and noticed that it should have been called a ball. Kotsay talked to the umpires between innings, but couldn't get the challenge back. He said, quote, obviously, they don't have access to the iPad. They only have access to the information they're being told through their earpiece. That's something we need clarified through the league. And we will have that conversation with the league, end quote. Yankees manager Aaron Boone said Sunday that he hadn't seen that happen before the season. Quote, my understanding was that we got one, end quote. So there you go. The ABS system was challenged and did not correct itself. Your thoughts, Murph?
We knew this was going to come at some point, that there was going to be some sort of screw up with the ABS at some point. Obviously, it didn't end up mattering in the end. The A's ended up winning the game.
Thankfully, but what if it was the other way around? What if it's a close game? What if the challenge goes away and they need the challenge late for another questionable call? What if this affected a playoff game?
Yeah, and it's the replay system in the stadium also didn't show it.
Yeah.
So it didn't show it in the stadium. It didn't show it on the broadcast. We just found out that it was confirmed, and after the fact, I'm thinking the ABS flat out just missed it.
Yeah.
And then they told the umpire to go at the call on the field. So, I'm thinking it seems like the ABS flat out missed the pitch. And if that's the case, then you don't have a pitch to challenge. So the call should stand, but the player should get their challenge back. That's my thoughts on the matter. But ultimately they took the challenge, and that was kind of it. And hopefully they fix that glitch now, knowing that this is a possibility, and make sure that this doesn't happen again. But definitely not ideal.
Yeah, no, not in any way, shape, or form. And
ironic, though, that it happened in a minor league ballpark.
Yeah. Yeah, because the A's obviously do not have a home. They're playing in Sacramento until they find their home. They're not called the Las Vegas A's yet. They're not the Oakland A's.
They're just the A's.
They're not the Sacramento A's. They're the only team that you can go online and check the standings and see city and nickname, and they don't have one. There's New York Yankees, New York Mets, Arizona Diamondbacks, Los Angeles Dodgers, Minnesota Twins, and then it just says Athletics. Simple as that. Because
have you seen the renderings for the new stadium in Vegas?
No, I actually have to look at the update because it was supposed to be 2028 that this would finally come to fruition. 2027, 2028. Then you hear 2028. We're in 2026, and the question is,
I think 2028 is the plan, but the place looks incredible.
Well, I'm sure it's Vegas. Vegas
it's
never does anything.
It's going to be unreal.
Yeah. Well, you went to the spaceship.
And yet they can't spend money on their team.
Right, but you went to Allegiant Stadium. You went to the home of the Raiders, the spaceship that's there in the middle of the desert. I mean, you got to experience it.
It was pretty damn cool. I mean, to be fair, I've been to other NFL stadiums that I thought were a little bit nicer, but it was definitely cool. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't. It didn't help that I was running on about an hour worth of sleep, and I was completely exhausted and was falling asleep in the stands at, I kid you not, the single most boring football game I have ever watched in my entire life between the Giants and the Raiders.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it was also like not cheap too. It was like $100. No. Like what? Like $100 to go to this game?
To be fair, I did win that money back at the blackjack table that night. So
right.
I won back the money to pay for that.
Yeah.
So I was okay with it.
Yeah. So I mean,
I essentially went to the game for free.
Right, and that's a good thing because who should have to see the Raiders and the Giants play each other and then not make their money back?
Willingly, no less.
Yeah, and not make your money back. Let's get into something here. Fernando Tatis has hit a 451-foot home run. Let's get into what this means for him. First home run of the season, and we were over 50 games into the season. Tatis got a 451-foot solo shot to left field in the fifth inning against Washington, and that happened on Saturday, although the San Diego Padres did not come out of this with a victory. They went on to lose 9-4 to the Nationals. Tatis, who has 520 home run seasons in his career and hit 42 in 2021, had not gone deep in 240 plate appearances before this game. The longest drought in the major leagues is now over 50 games, more than 240 more than 50 games this season, 240 plate appearances, and finally got his first home run. And he singled in the first inning, struck out in the third before his fifth inning home run off Foster Griffin gave San Diego a 3-1 lead at the time. He said, quote, "I just knew right away about effing time," end quote, is what Fernando Tatis said. 451 feet to get his first home run in 50-plus games, Murph. Nice to know that the longest drought in Major League Baseball this year is now over.
And he's not a guy you would have expected to have a drought like that.
No.
Fernando Tatis Jr. obviously has a ton of power. He's a superstar. He's a guy that he got popped for PEDs, but even since then he's still been great. It's not someone you would have expected to be homerless through almost the end of May. Yeah. So he gets his first finally. I imagine that he'll probably run into a few more in the next couple of days, just now that he's got the monkey off his back and has his first one. But it was kind of a story that we were seeing throughout the year, and the fact that he hasn't hit one yet, and now that he finally has, we can kind of put that to rest.
Yeah, and from one who struggled to hit home runs to the one that was leading the American League in home runs, who's now going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, Murakami of the Chicago White Sox had gone into this weekend leading the entire American League with 20 home runs. He was the only one to get to 20 at the time, and he is now going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, and God willing, not longer than that. Hopefully, it'll be even shorter by the grace of God, we pray, in Jesus' most precious name. He has a grade 2 right hamstring strain, and if anybody knows anything about hamstring or groin injuries, They're the ones that can nag you for a long time, and I'm hoping that they don't. Manager Will Venable shared details on Murakami's injury and a revised timeline for the first baseman's absence from Chicago's lineup after the White Sox placed him on the 10-day injured list before Saturday's game against the Detroit Tigers. Murakami is 26 years old. He entered the day tied for the AL lead at the time with 20 home runs, as he did have somebody come up and get to 20 with him. He underwent imaging revealing the severity of the condition following Friday's 4-3 win over Detroit. In 10 innings, Venable told reporters he thought Murakami might miss, quote, a couple of weeks, end quote, after he got hurt beating out a double play in the third inning. He said, quote, it's tough, obviously. He makes a massive impact on our group on and off the field. He's probably pretty down right now, knowing that's going to take a different form here over the next few weeks. This is what every single team deals with, and you've got to try to find ways to continue to put plays together and play well and play good baseball, end quote. Murakami's hitting .240 with 4 doubles, 41 RBIs, 44 walks, 43 runs scored, and a .938 OPS over 57 games with the White Sox this season, and it's his first season in the majors. He's been a huge addition for the resurgent White Sox, who signed him to a 2-year, $34 million contract in December, and of course he hails from Japan. Coming off 3 straight seasons with 101 or more losses, the White Sox entered Saturday at 30-27, 3 games over 500 for the first time since September 21st, 2022. In a corresponding move Saturday, the White Sox selected the contract of infielder Jacob Gonzalez from AAA Charlotte, moving him up from the Charlotte Knights. Murakami grabbed the back of his right thigh after beating a throw to first when he hit into a fielder's choice in the third inning on Friday. So now we're hoping that he will obviously be back soon. He stated, quote, my goal was to play the full season healthy, but that really didn't come out well. But after this injury, I will recover fully, 100%, and give them all each and every day. I'm not going to be adjusting anything after the injury or nothing like that, end quote. He is tied with Houston's Jordan Alvarez for second place in the majors in homers. Philadelphia's Kyle Schwarber leads the entire majors of 30 franchises with 22, but Alvarez and Murakami both lead the American League with 20. So hoping for good things here, but to the man who I said I would hope has a shot at being the MVP, because seeing the Oakland A's have a good season so far, seeing the White Sox have a good season, 2 of the worst teams in the American League, 2 of the worst teams in all of baseball in recent history, 2 teams that were fighting of who was going to be the worst team of all 30 franchises, have both each led their division this year and are within the top 2 of their division. So I was asked, who would I put as my American League MVP? And I said, man, right now, I got to go with a White Sox or an Athletic player because of how well their teams have been doing and because they've not only risen out of the basement, but they've risen to either lead their division or be in the top 2 in their division. And Murakami was one of the names I mentioned because at the time he was leading all of the American League in home runs, and now he currently leads it with Alvarez with 20, and they're second in the country of 30 franchises, only to Kyle Schwarber of Philadelphia. So this is a massive loss to Chicago, who I hope Murph will find a way to get it done without him and can hopefully put some runs together and make the next 4 to 6 weeks be sustainable in his absence, as he is not only huge for them, but he's been leading the American League when it comes to banging home runs, and the dude's been doing it in his first season in the majors.
Yes, he has, and it's there's a reason why he sat on free agency for a while, is because everybody was concerned about the strikeouts and he couldn't hit velocity, and he's kind of disproven that. So Murakami's done a really nice job with that. Trying to get a little more light in here, has done a really nice job with that, and to the tune of 20 home runs in his first year. And, now this is going to sideline him for a while. And, grade 2 hamstring strains, They say 4 to 6 weeks. It could very easily be closer to 8 weeks if it ends up nagging the way that some of these do.
Yeah.
So you hope for the best there. But either way, he's proven that he can play in the big leagues. And it would not shock me that if he does come back quickly from this and he continues to do what he's been doing, would not shock me at all if the White Sox make him available at the deadline and try to get a nice package for him that they can continue to rebuild their team. It sounds like that was probably part of the plan with bringing Murakami in, was see how he does, because if he plays great, you can trade him and get a haul of prospects. If he plays poorly, it's $34 million over 2 years, not a big deal in the end.
Yeah. And the hope is that everybody gets healthy here, as we know that De La Cruz had to exit with a tight hamstring, and Real Muto, with his wrist injury, exited as well after he was hit by a pitch. But the x-rays, thank goodness, came up negative. So from going to someone who had a home run drought to someone who is leading the country or leading the American League in home runs to a team that just would like to have any hits, the Mets. So let's get into...
Hey, we just swept the Marlins.
I know. Let's get into this here. The last place Mets in the NL East are making a change in their pitching rotation. They have demoted David Peterson to the bullpen and will replace him with Sean Manaea, the left-hander. It's a promotion for Manaea, who's been used mainly in long relief and mop-up duty this season after signing a 3-year, $75 million contract in December of 2024. Peterson, who was an all-star in 2025 before fading in the second half, is 3-5 this season. His ERA is at 5.57 this season. He has made 7 starts and 5 relief appearances, but has been taking a regular turn, pitching several times in bulk relief following an opener. So now that role will go to Manaea, who has been moved up to the rotation. Mets manager Carlos Mendoza said the 34-year-old will either start or pitch after an opener Monday night in Seattle. We're going to give him a chance here, end quote, said Mendoza Friday night before a series opening 9-7 win over the Miami Marlins. The 30-year-old Peterson, who can become a free agent following the World Series, was told to be available out of the bullpen beginning Sunday against Miami. He started Tuesday night in a 7-2 loss to the Cincinnati Reds, allowing 6 runs, 3 walks, and a career-high 11 hits, while throwing 90 pitches in 5+ innings. He failed to back up home plate on one play, which cost the Mets when a relay throw from the outfield got away. Mendoza said, quote, "Obviously, he understands the situation. It's what's best for the team right now, but I also told him that it's an important role. We're going to need him. The performance matters here too. And if he throws the ball well, the way he's capable of, he's going to continue to get opportunities. He understood, like I said, he's a professional, and he's going to do whatever the team needs." End quote. Murph, my question to you. The Mets had to do something. They did win their series against the Marlins, which is huge, as the Miami Marlins have had an uptick season with the Atlanta Braves this season inside of the NL East. My question to you is, with a series win over the Marlins and now a shift in their bullpen to Sean Manaea being a starter, can the Mets build off of what's happened here? Do you see anything in their series win over the Marlins that makes you feel like they have life 50+ games in? And do you think they needed a shakeup somewhere on this team, be it Manaea or wherever, to give the team hope? I mean, getting a series win over the Marlins is great, but do you think that they needed to have some type of shift to try and spark the team somewhere at this point?
Yes, they did. No, I don't see this changing anything.
Okay.
It's the Marlins. The Marlins are one of the worst teams in baseball. They should beat the Marlins. They're going out west to Seattle. Seattle's a good team. If they win a couple of games in Seattle, and then they go to Seattle, then they go to San Diego, and then they come back to play the Cardinals and Braves, and then they go out to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
If they don't come back from the West Coast 4-2, I'm officially writing the season off.
Okay.
I mean, they're only 7 games under 500, which is not horrendous.
Yeah.
But if they don't come back at least 500, or 4-2 on that road trip, I'm going to be writing this season off as a failure, because there is absolutely no reason why this team should be half a game out of last place. The main reason is the rotation, but the pitching's been awful. The hitting's been worse outside of Juan Soto. The bullpen's been horrendous. So who knows if Sean Manaea is even going to be worth keeping in there. I mean, you lose Lindor's out right now. You lose Clay Holmes essentially for the year.
Yeah.
Christian Scott's come in and done okay. Jonah Tong's going to get a couple of starts. He's been Nolan McLean was better yesterday. He's still he's been rough his last few starts. And then now you got Sean Manaea is in the rotation, and Freddie Peralta's kind of just been 5-and-dive Freddie, what he's done his entire career. They're going to be sellers at the deadline. Peralta's going to go. Trying to think. There's going to be some other guys that get traded as well, I would imagine. And they're going to reload and try it again next year. If you're in contention, they right the ship and figure this thing out.
Yeah.
Maybe they make a run at getting Tarek Schoolboy at the deadline and trying to lock him up to an extension, but I don't see that happening. He's going to be a free agent next year. He's a Boras client. He's going to get a lot of money. The Mets are going to be in on him. I imagine before the CBA comes down, though, before the lockout begins. I imagine we're going to have a flurry of activity the way we did in 2021, where a lot of guys sign right before, or a lot of guys try to sign before the lockout begins, because it's going to happen.
Sign for security.
Yeah. Exactly. There's a lot of guys that did it in 2021. I expect a lot of guys are going to do it in 2026. But ultimately, I don't see this thing turning around. I really don't. This is not the same team that was, everybody was talking about 22-33, 11 games under 500 on the same date in 2024. They turned it around. We don't have a Jose Iglesias. We don't have a Sean Manaea who's actually going to be competent. We don't have a Luis Severino who's having a resurgence. We don't have those guys.
Yeah.
We don't have Grimace. This is not the 2024 OMG Mets.
Grimace!
This is a team that is poorly managed with bad players that is barely hanging on. The fact that Carlos Mendoza is still managing this golf team, is still managing this baseball team, is an absolute
Maybe
joke.
they would do better if they dropped the ball and hit it like a golf ball.
They might. But what happened with David Peterson the other day, not backing up home plate, fundamentals looking like a Little League team, that is completely unacceptable in Major League Baseball. That manager deserves to be fired. Any manager that allows that. And I know we don't like talking about, managers and coaches getting fired, because they're human beings too. And, Mendoza would find a job elsewhere. I know he would.
Or doing it during a season, like Baltimore did it last year, and look at Baltimore right now.
Look at the Vegas Golden Knights. They fired their head coach, and they're about to play for a Stanley Cup.
Sometimes it works.
8 games left in the season.
Sometimes it works. A lot of times it doesn't. But, and the Miami Marlins, they had done some good things earlier on this season, but the Mets had to defeat the Marlins in their head-to-head series in order to not be in last place. The Mets are only a half a game above the Marlins. So as bad as the Marlins are right now, the Mets had to win that series to make sure that they weren't the worst team.
They had to sweep that series.
In the NL East, right. I mean, they had to take care of business all the way through just to save face here and to be able to have something positive to build off of here, as the Mets have, undoubtedly struggled, and they continue to struggle. The Mets have the second highest payroll in baseball, less than $30 million behind the Los Angeles Dodgers. So you got the teams that spend the most money in all of Major League Baseball of 30 franchises, the Mets and the Dodgers. And so you're one of the teams that's spending the most money across the country. One of the teams is winning World Series and competing for them. The other team is nowhere close. So the Mets got to figure something out with their squad. They got to figure out something with their bullpen, something with their lineup, something with their defense, something with the whole way that this thing is managed. Because the reality of it all is, when you're in the top two in spending and the other team is winning World Series and you're not even getting a lick of that, close of that, a sniff of it, that says something here, that the Mets are either the top spender or the second highest spender, and the team that's going back and forth with them as far as spending going, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who a lot of people consider year in and year out to be the team that you got to beat to win the World Series, where the Mets are a team that, are they even making the playoffs? If they're making the playoffs, how far are they going? So you're spending the money, you're hanging with the Dodgers, but you look like an ocean separates you between LA Dodgers and the New York Mets. So they're going to have to figure something out, Murph, because it's not like they don't have deep pockets. It's not like they're not in the conversation of getting players, and it's not like they're not spending the money. They're spending the money. They just don't look anything like the other team that's also spending the money, which is a team that we feel is going to once again vie for a championship this year.
Problem is they're spending the money on the wrong players.
Well, that's the problem.
They're spending the money on Jorge Polanco, who has never played first base a day in his life and always has trouble staying on the field. Blows up his Achilles or flares up his Achilles. He's been out for basically half the year at this point. You trade a beloved franchise homegrown talent, former first round pick in Brandon Nimmo, who you would just re-sign to a big contract less than 2 years ago. You trade him to the Rangers for Marcus Semien. Yes, I know that was not a 2026 trade. That was more like a 2028 trade. And you got value for him. Semien hasn't been great. He's had it down last couple of years. I guess theoretically that's probably better for the long term. Nimmo's been doing pretty well with the Rangers. You don't re-sign Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
After the big ordeal with him in 2020, in the offseason after 2024.
That debacle, though, Murph,
don't re-sign him.
How many years of they don't know what to do with Pete Alonso? Are they going to extend him? Are they going to keep him? It's all the way to the start of the season. What are they going to do? Then the next year, what are they going to do? I mean, is that one of the biggest Mets fumbles of recent history? The fact that the Pete Alonso saga would go all the way up to the season, and okay, we'll give him another year, and then do we trade him, or what do we do? Okay, we're going to keep him this year. I mean, and now they don't have him. It just, to me, is that to you one of the biggest Mets mistakes of not being able to come to the table and actually figure out an extension with Pete Alonso and just play these games back and forth with him and his agent for the last couple of years?
No, it's not. It wasn't a great look.
Okay.
Because realistically, he wanted to be here. 2024 offseason, he wanted to be here. They drew that out. Stearns clearly didn't want him. Cohen stepped in and made that deal. Stearns did not want Pete Alonso. Cohen basically made him do it. So you knew Pete had one foot out the door. The biggest fumble, in my opinion, was not leveraging the success after 2015.
Okay.
Re-signing Cespedes to that big contract that he probably didn't necessarily deserve after 40 games of Babe Ruth-like players, letting Daniel Murphy walk out the door after he nearly carried you to a championship. You know, not investing in your pitching. These guys got hurt. The only one healthy at the end of 2016 was Noah Syndergaard. Another one for me is letting Jacob deGrom walk out the door after 2021.
Yeah.
After 2022. Jacob deGrom is the best pitcher this franchise has seen since Tom Seaver. Yes, he was better than Dwight Gooden.
When he got hurt, his ERA was
It started with it. I think it actually no. It was like 1.06.
But it got even under
in
1.
July.
It got under 1 at one point. I went to
for a lot of the year.
I went to the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame, and with my dad, the numbers in the Hall of Fame, because I went that year that he was doing so well. If he had continued throughout the year and stayed healthy, his ERA would have been the greatest ERA by a pitcher in a season in the history of Major League Baseball.
He would have broken Bob Gibson's record.
Yeah, he was on pace for being the greatest ever in a season. And I thought the Mets got rid of deGrom banking on the fact that they thought he was just never going to be healthy again and that they knew something, and so let's let him go somewhere because he's never going to be full go. And then it took him some time with the Rangers, but I thought it was a massive mistake to let Jacob deGrom go from the Mets. And I guess they were thinking he was never going to be himself again, and then he goes to the Rangers and he got healthy and he got good again.
Granted, he played a part in walking out the door. Clearly, he didn't want to be here. You needed to find a way to tell him, look, you are a franchise icon. You are the best pitcher that this franchise has seen in 60 years.
Yeah.
We want you here. We're going to keep you here. We are going to pay you like you deserve to be paid because we know full well we made out with that last contract.
Yeah.
So we're going to pay you. We're going to overpay you a little bit because of what you did for us. The contract you signed at the time was not indicative of what you were worth.
Yeah.
So, we're going to keep you. Jacob deGrom leaving and going to Texas, that one hurt. That hurt more than Pete Alonso leaving.
Yeah.
And I watched Jacob deGrom pitch in the World Series. I watched Jacob deGrom pitch at the highest level that I've ever seen a pitcher pitch. That 2020, had he stayed healthy, and I want to make sure I get the correct stat because I don't want to screw it up. Bob Gibson's ERA in 1968. 1.12 ERA in 1968 in 300 innings pitched.
Yeah, because deGrom was 0.9 something at the time that I think I went to when I went to the Hall of Fame.
If Jacob deGrom stayed on the level that he was for the last 3 months of that year, which there was no reason to think he wouldn't, he would have shattered that record. He might have finished with an ERA below 1, been a unanimous Cy Young Award winner, probably been the most valuable player in the National League over Ohtani. I'm sorry, actually, he wasn't in the National League yet. But over anybody. And that 2022 Mets team, or 2021 Mets team, could have easily made a run in the postseason. Easily.
Yeah.
With the single greatest pitching season in Major League history. He was on pace for that. He was scaring no-hitter every night he pitched in 2021. He was throwing 97 mile per hour sliders. That doesn't happen. That is unbelievable. It was the single greatest season of pitching that I've ever watched as a fan. Anytime he took them out, if he gave up a run, you were shocked. It was 6-7 innings, no runs, 10, 12 strikeouts, 3 hits. That was it.
Yeah.
And then he gets hurt. And this is the start of 2022. And he comes back and he's just not the same. He's still dominant, but he's just not the same. And then he goes to Texas. That was, to me, in my lifetime, The second biggest fumble the Mets ever had, behind not leveraging 2015. You can also say not leveraging 2006, but they did. They just collapsed twice. And by that point, Delgado's career was over. Carlos Beltran wasn't the same. Jose Reyes and David Wright were great, but Tom Glavine was out the door. Al Leiter was out the door. Steve Traxel was out the door. Pedro Martinez was gone. Their pitching wasn't the same. 2015, that team, you bring Cespedes back, which is fine, but you let Daniel Murphy walk out the door to your division rival. He single-handedly brought you to the World Series. And you let that guy walk? Really?
And it's the bonding. It's the bonding of our two names, Daniel Murphy. So it's DT and Murphy.
That was the biggest fumble to me in my lifetime, at least. The other one that older Mets fans will remember was trading Tom Seaver to the Reds in 1977, or trading away Nolan Ryan for Jim Fregosi in 1972. Or 1970, maybe 74. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Letting him, no, it was 72. But letting Nolan Ryan walk out, or letting Nolan Ryan go, trading Tom Seaver, not leveraging the success after 2006, 2015, inexcusable. The one that hurt the most was Jacob deGrom over Pete Alonso. I understood the Pete Alonso thing, but, that's probably fourth on my list.
Well, I'm gonna hit you with some. Speaking of Jacob deGrom, I'm gonna hit you with some history here. ERA wise, in a season, Tim Keefe with the Troy Trojans. Yes, there is a Troy Trojans team in college. There was a Major League Baseball Troy Trojans back in 1880, and Murph loves the Gators.
Yep.
And Troy's playing Florida to try and move on to the next round this year. Tim Keefe's ERA in 1880 with the Troy Trojans, .86. Dutch Leonard in 1914 with Boston, .96. Satchel Paige in 1944 with Kansas City, 1.01. Mordecai Brown in 1906 with the Cubs, 1.04. Bob Gibson in 1968 with St. Louis, 1.12. Christy Mathewson in 1909 with the New York Giants, which are now the San Francisco Giants, 1.14, which tied Walter Johnson 1913 with Washington, also 1.14. So Jacob deGrom was on pace of being a part of a fantastical history. So Murph, we go from history to reality right now. And my question to you is this. If the Mets were to turn it around, whose bat will they turn it around with? Bo Bichette, Juan Soto, Mark Vientos, Brett Beatty, or someone else? Who do you pick?
Well, considering Juan Soto's already trying to carry them, I don't know that it's going to be him because he's already doing it and they're not winning. I'm going to say the answer is Francisco Lindor.
Okay.
Francisco Lindor comes back and does what Francisco Lindor does and what made him the MVP runner-up in 2024. He does that. That'll be the reason the Mets turn it around.
Okay. Bo Bichette, good move or bad move, ultimately, when all's said and done?
When all is said and done, I think it will be a just okay move, honestly. It was a lot of money to be paid for a guy that's never played third base and was already a poor defender at short. But the move made sense. It made sense at the time. It still makes sense. I think at the end of the day, it will be written down as a bad move, but it won't be like a horrendous move.
Well, I mean, they were the runner-up in the World Series to the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they were a fingernail from winning the whole thing in Game 7 and making my prediction
twice.
So, yeah. So, shout out to what the Blue Jays did, and I'm sad that Bo Bichette's not still a Blue Jay because I wanted that team to try and run it back with everybody together, but hopefully the Blue Jays could still do some good things, and hopefully the Mets can as well. Murph, as always, I appreciate the time. Murph's New Studios, it's June 1st, and you just ushered in June with us here on Wake Up Call. We will know very soon who's playing for the Women's College World Series as they're to their Final Four, and we will know who's in the Super Regional all the way around. We have seen 4 of the 8 on the left side of the bracket, 6 of the 8 on the right side. By tonight, before the clock strikes 12, we will know who's in the Super Regionals overall for college baseball.
It might be after 12, to be fair.
We'll see.
There's some games on the West Coast. It might be after 12 o'clock, but we'll know by the time we wake up tomorrow morning.
We'll know when we wake up. And then Major League Baseball, hopefully we will continue to see some guys get healthy, like Murakami. Hopefully some good news for De La Cruz and for everybody out there. Lindor, as you mentioned, and hopefully, X-rays being negative for Real Muto. Hopefully things will be good for him and the Phillies as well. Murph, I appreciate the time. I look forward to talking with you soon, and shout out to christening the new studio.
Yes, sir.
That coming here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. I want to thank you for being with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /Wake Up Call DT, and of course also on wakeupcalldt.mixlr.com. We thank you for being with us on live internet streaming radio there, and of course on Podbean of over 2,000 broadcasts. Of course, once the show go live, they show up in the archive, and you'll find this one in the archive today on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Make sure to follow and download as well as subscribe on these channels. Big time thanks to our wonderful partners. Go and support them in Central and Upstate New York. Great Lakes, Honda City, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Mon Paz, the snack capital of the world. Myers Creek with 2 locations, one on the countryside on 33 Rippleton Road in Cazenovia, and one inside of the city of Syracuse in the Syracuse Inner Harbor on 720 Van Rensselaer Street. The Baked Potato Express, check out their new video that'll be airing shortly here during lunchtime on all of our Wake Up Call channels. Pizza Man, of course, Skippy's Ice Cream, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Brian's Landing, Gray's Craze of Clay, New York, Game Point Sports Complex, Avicoli's, Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, Willow Rock Brewing Company and the Willow Rock Pizza Pub, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Mother's Cupboard, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Binghamton University Bearcats. Find your Bearcats every Tuesday during Bearcat time at 10 a.m. Eastern Time with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining the show here where sports meets life. You can find your Bearcats on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the Binghamton playlist, and over 150 specials there with Binghamton. You can also find the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call, I want to thank Murph for being with us to talk softball, baseball, collegiately, as well as Major League Baseball, to honor the life and to celebrate the life and to pray for better days for all of us here and an end to gun violence or any type of violence as we remember the life and pray for his safe passage to heaven and for all of his loved ones, and that speaking on the life of Gavin Yates Lyons of Ball State, who passed away at 18 years old due to gun violence. So our prayers go to him and his loved ones in heaven, his loved ones here on earth, and them all being connected through the grace of God, because dying, Jesus destroyed our death, and rising, he restored our life. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, I pray for Gavin, his loved ones, and all of you, as well as all of my loved ones and myself. Have a beautiful day. Thank you to Murph. We christened his new crib and his new studio. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Go there now, as well as to YouTube at Wake Up Call DT, because in just a few moments, we will be unveiling the making of my Wake Up Call breakfast potato, available exclusively on the Baked Potato Express food trucks. Make sure you're dressed by Express when you're getting your potatoes here in our community. And of course, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, as we always say, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon.